the games, and that's why Sea of Thieves is so incredible. There's a chance you'll come across this island with a skeleton named Griffin who's just laying here trying to eat a banana. Obviously, that's a pretty strange way to eat one, but if you pull it out for yourself and try it, they actually do eat bananas this way. Now, one of the developers thought this was so ridiculous that during an interview, he decided to make fun of the animation.
Press conference thing of E3. You okay? It's so bad.
If you hadn't already guessed, first thought if you Griffin who's just laying here trying to eat a banana. Obviously, that's this tiny secrets into game. Or that it was disarmed years ago, but right from the ceiling. Now, nuclear bomb. But in the Dexter's laboratory mission, they have one hanging right from the ceiling. Now, most players would assume it's a decoration or that it was disarmed years ago, but Agent 47 contests that theory. I just love when developers put these tiny secrets into games, and that's why Sea of Thieves is so incredible. There's a chance you'll come across this island with a skeleton named Griffin who's just laying here trying to eat a banana. Obviously, that's a pretty strange way to eat one, but if you pull it out for yourself...
Back at base, your part is done. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
and try it, they actually do eat bananas this way. Now, one of the developers thought this was so ridiculous that during an interview, he decided to make fun of the animation.
Press conference thing of E3. Okay. It's so bad.
If you hadn't already guessed, his name is Griffin, and now this moment is immortalized in-game forever. But imagine getting home after a long day, only to check your voicemail and realize there's a missed call from Mario. Yeah, if you ever bought from GameStop back in the day, you probably picked up Mario Galaxy, and for anyone who pre-ordered it 24 hours before release, they'd actually get a special call from Mario himself.
Hello, it's me, Mario. Woohoo! And I'ma call you because I'm here at the GameStop where they telling me that you pre-ordered my newest and the greatest game, Super Mario Galaxy. Woohoo!
Taking it from Nintendo to Lego, the details inside of these games is super impressive. Every single character always has their own personality and charm, and that's especially true for the Incredible Hulk. So in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, if you go AFK while playing as him, he'll get impatient and eventually take it out on a poor chicken.
Well done.
And Dying Light 2 has one of the funniest Easter eggs, and it actually roasts another developer. There's a secret quest where you talk to a guy named the Liquidator, and everything he says seems to be pretty important. Well, that's until you end the convo, and he gives you a blueprint for Cyberhands 2177. This is a direct reference to Cyberpunk, and when you turn back, he's now disappeared, a subtle jab at the game's constant despawning of NPCs. And that's not the only time two franchises have come together. One of the most iconic rivalries in gaming is Spyro the Dragon versus Crash Bandicoot. So naturally in the Eternal Night, it's pretty funny when you explore a level only to find Crash frozen under the ice. If there is one game that makes fun of everyone though, it's gotta be Goat Simulator. In the original, if you walked into the coffee stain house, you could head up the stairs and find a secret mini game on the TV. But be careful because once you start playing, it'll either drive you insane or become super addictive. Of course, it's Flappy Bird, or at least the Goat version of it. Not only is this set in space, but it is way harder than the original. If you get just 10 points, you'll earn the Flatmaster achievement, which is known as one of the most infuriating trophies in the whole franchise. If you decide to take out your anger on a chicken instead, like Lego Hulk, make sure you don't do it in Scooby-Doo. The Spooky Swamp game is pretty old by now, but that didn't stop the devs from adding some amazing secrets. If you decide to attack an innocent chicken, they won't just sit there, they'll get revenge. You can also find an animal secret in Tekken Tag Tournament 2 if you head bottom left of the historic town square. Once you're here, try to stick around long enough, and a group of dancing animals will come around the corner. Honestly, this has got to be one of the most adorable things I've ever seen. Moving on to a more serious franchise, Life is Strange has a gripping story. Well, except when there's an opportunity for some Easter eggs, and let's just say the devs always take it. As you approach this door, there's a code puzzle which could eventually be solved. For any lazy players who want to break through, they could just sit here trying to guess the code all day, but once you failed it 50 times, even Max gets frustrated.
I'm going to make the designers pay for all these bull code puzzles.
In Gears of War 5 on the Asylum multiplayer map, there's trains that come through here and tear people apart. Well, that's unless you're skilled enough to dodge it at the very last second. Now, this is already pretty thrilling, but do this to both trains on the map, and the next time it drives through, Cole will be dancing. Now, if there's someone who appears all the time as an Easter egg, it's Indiana Jones. Whether it's Fortnite or Warzone, his refrigerator's iconic. But in Far Cry New Dawn, they didn't follow the movies. He's usually meant to survive the atomic blast, except when you visit this fridge, all that's left is some bones and his famous hat. Now let's move on to Steep, which is one of Ubisoft's most underrated games. It may seem like a simple snowboarding game, but it's actually full of passion from the developers. And if I've learned anything from making these videos, Ubisoft will put rabbits in everything no matter what. Speaking of passionate devs, the team behind Fable put a ton of love into the game. That's why the Easter eggs are so good, and one of the best involves this door puzzle. You need to spell out the word hits in order to gain access, but they set you up perfectly here to spell something much worse.
Mission complete. The captive has been escorted to the extraction point. Well done.
Someone who never shies away from cursing is Peter Griffin, and in his PS2 game, Quahog is full of secrets. Like God, who is not happy if you get in his way, because if you interrupt him, Peter will instantly regret it. A more lighthearted secret can be found in Ultra Kill, or so we thought. If you manage to get inside the chimneys on the boat, you'll find a small hamster waiting for you. He is super adorable, so obviously you gotta escort him to safety, and that means heading to this giant tower. Once you reach the very top, the game's developer is trapped inside a cage. He definitely seems like the hamster's owner, so I wasn't expecting this when reuniting them. Now, you probably haven't heard of Head and Blood, right? It's an indie shooter created by one person who was inspired by retro games like Doom. But you can also tell who else influenced him by simply falling down this hole.
What the hell am I doing in Head On? This is a low-budget game.
Duke Nukem is one thing, but Postal takes this humor to another level, especially in the second game. One of my personal favorites is in the cemetery. There's a huge grave for that beloved bookcase. Now, surely they didn't bury an actual bookcase, right? Well, just pee on the grave, and you'll be in for a super weird surprise.
Stay focused. There's a heavy
How
unit
about
approaching.
some of this? Ow. Now, Payday 3 is getting a ton of mixed reviews, but if there's one thing we can all agree on, the game has some incredible secrets. As you spawn into the very first heist, you can turn around and notice something on the wall. There is a ton of posters with a garage for sale, rooms for rent, and even a missing cat. But I am way more interested in the QR code that says follow your dream with a mysterious smiley face. I was dying to see where this went, so I just had to scan it. Oh, well, okay then. Another one of my favorites is in Warface Breakout, where the devs must have been having a horrible day when creating this door. Fans speculated for weeks what could be hiding inside, until one day the cage around it disappeared. Now you can activate the C4 on the wall and blow up the door, revealing the devs just hated us this whole time. But there's a feature Bethesda never expected us to find, and it happened within days of Skyrim's release. One of the best mechanics lets you pick up any object, and people started to play around with this until they eventually found the bucket. That's when they tried to throw it onto an NPC's head, and it actually fit. Already pretty funny, but the craziest part is that it blocked their eyesight, so you could rob them without any consequences, and even Bethesda never planned for this one.
No one thought to do that. All our QA, all the hundreds of hours, thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands of hours we collected.
But you can seriously annoy the devs of Dead Rising 2, and all it takes is a ping pong ball. During the fight against TK's helicopter, you gotta throw objects at it to bring it down. It's the only way to beat it, and you can't just pull out a rifle because it won't deal any damage. Well, it turns out if you use the worst item in the game, a ping pong launcher, it completely destroys the helicopter. The developers tried to troll us by making a useless item, only for it to backfire massively. And players had to get extra creative in Infra when they found a broken walkway that was impossible to jump across. You're meant to fall down and continue with the game, but some players wouldn't let this go. They just had to know what was on the other side. So they loaded in cheats and no-clipped over the walkway, leading them to some drunk teddy bears and a message from a developer. Already pretty awesome, but the best part is another dev who came across the message and fixed the guy's spelling error. And while we're on the topic of mistakes, Oblivion has some of the funniest in all of gaming. The NPCs have so many lines of dialogue that even the devs lost track of them. So whenever talking to one, there's a small chance the actors will mess the lines up.
Heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
And that's not the only mistake that became iconic. If I asked you to name one item from PUBG, most people would instantly say the frying pan. It's basically the game's mascot at this point, all because of an insane feature that was never meant to happen. So when PUBG released in early access, the devs wanted to let you hit grenades like a baseball bat, so they gave the frying pan collision. Well, this was a big mistake, because as soon as this was added, players would wear the pan on their backs and become completely bulletproof.
One bullet, that's all you get.
Oh my god! In fact, people were so in love with this idea, the studio was terrified of changing it, so it's still in the game to this day. Although things take a weird turn and deliver us the moon, but honestly, this one's kinda your own fault. Look, if you go into the bathroom of any game, the last thing you try to do is to see who's pooping in there. Yet some people genuinely pulled out the drone cam just to look inside these stalls. The creators wanted to punish anyone for being a total creep, and that's why you'll find the dev's face staring right back at you. But something rare happened in the original Stanley Parable, and usually this game breaks the fourth wall constantly. It seemed like they planned for everything, but that was until players jumped down from the mind control facility. Expecting a joke like every other path, they sat down here and nothing happened. We finally found a place you weren't meant to go. Now, obviously, the devs couldn't let this slide, so in the deluxe edition, you could drop down here and be gifted with an exclusive message.
It's a secret.
that's just for you. That's how special you are.
Used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending.
But let me nerd out real quick because Spider-Man PS4 has one of the most underrated Easter eggs out there. Now, everyone always talks about the Avengers Tower or Daredevil's office, but all of these make sense because it's the Marvel Universe. So what if I told you there's actually a place from DC? Inside of the city, you can find a store with a sideways logo that says Trust Us League. If it wasn't already an obvious jab at the Justice League, the logo's also basically identical. Not to mention, before the game even dropped, fans noticed a billboard for the Trust Us League that only appeared for a split second. So it seems like Insomniac was trying to keep this one quiet. I gotta admit, Splitgate was a promising game that did a lot of things right, but some decisions were a little weird. In the Abyss level, you can disable invisible walls around the map, and this led to a strange discovery hiding inside the cliffs. For some reason, you can look into the tunnels and find a dancing goblin who looks straight out of the 90s. Unfortunately, the devs abandoned this game in 2022, so we'll probably never even get an explanation for why this was added. But there is a classic that's coming back because Quake 2 is getting a remaster, and hopefully Bethesda keeps in the iconic troll. In the original, you could glitch out of bounds by rocket jumping, which led you straight to a power-up. The devs were finally rewarding us for thinking outside the box, but oh, okay, that hurts a little. But if I had to give a prime example of something devs didn't want you to uncover, it would be this secret in PGA Tour 99. It's a simple sports game and not much can go wrong, except for one mistake that got a developer fired and cost EA millions. While making the game, a developer left a placeholder file on the disc. Now, obviously, you don't expect people to get a PlayStation game and to pop it in their laptop, except one mom did, and she found ZZ Dummy, a file containing a secret episode of South Park. This caused the entire game's age rating to skyrocket, with EA pulling every single copy off the shelves. A little more of a PG-rated mistake can be found in Crash Team Racing. While playing as Penta Penguin, there's a chance you'll hear an unfinished voice line. Instead of an adorable penguin, it's just some monotone dude. Like, he could have at least been excited about it. Now, obviously, this was only meant to be a placeholder that accidentally made it in, but when the devs remade it in 2019, Penta Penguin had new voice lines. Now look, I think we've all watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and thought it was easy until you actually play the game and realize you're horrible at it. Well, if you were playing the 2006 PC version, not only would you feel bad for sucking, there were also secret voice lines that caused the host to roast you.
If you don't know the answer, it's your choice. Me, you did.
An Easter egg that was meant to be in the game is Enrage, although it wasn't really intended for us. In Subway Town, you could follow a massive tunnel system that eventually leads you to a dead end. Most people would turn around, but if you twist the valve, it opens up a secret door, revealing the wall of developer signatures. This was probably left by the team to celebrate working on the game, but I'm just happy someone actually found it. I absolutely love when devs add secrets like that, but sometimes they're not as nice. In Goat Simulator, if for some reason you swim far out into the ocean, you'll come across Dev Island. Everyone here is partying instead of working on the game, and if you're not a big fan of that, just shoot the cannon at them. They're also making it rain with money and filling pools with wine, so I gotta respect it. Not everything out there works in the devs' favor, though. Resident Evil Code Veronica has a knife that's honestly pretty bad. That's until you aim down, and I'm not kidding, simply looking at the floor while attacking makes this thing do triple damage, and no one has any idea why. It makes the experience way too easy, and obviously Capcom wasn't too happy about it. One place I'd expect to find an Easter egg is in Fortnite, but I never thought the devs would leave in something so R-rated. Before Epic Games got The Rock to record his lines, they made placeholders of their own, and one of them is absolutely hilarious.
I need to start the containment process now.
Now let's talk about Shrek Extra Large. I know it sounds random, but this game includes one of the most unexplained secrets out there. In the GameCube version, if you try to no-clip out of the map, there's a good chance you'll fall into the void. I wouldn't recommend doing this because the developers will now be mad at you and trap you inside console prison. Yeah, you're now in a one-to-one replica of a GameCube, and there is no way out. Even the pause menu is disabled, and your only option left is to reset the console. Okay, wow. That was a lot of Easter eggs. Developers will Now let's talk about Shrek Extra Large. I know it sounds random, but this game includes one of the most unexplained secrets out there. In the GameCube version, if you try to no-clip out of the map, there's a good chance you'll fall into the void. I wouldn't recommend doing this because the developers will now be mad at you and trap you inside console prison. Yeah, you're now in a one-to-one replica of a GameCube, and there is no way out. Even the pause menu is disabled, and your only option left is to reset the console. Okay, wow. That was a lot of Easter eggs, and and I guess it just shows how much effort the developers put into these games. If you're somehow still awake, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, it's been Sammy
and Tommy. Keep it here on T5G.
Blazing, ooh, you're blazing.
The art of combat must be practiced to truly master the canvas of war.
You found a target. Capture them quickly before they escape. The capture target has vital information that we will need to extract. We need our subject brought back alive. Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Colonel. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
They fought well. Good deaths all.
Ever since I was a wee little dwarf obsessed with rock and stone, I have been hopping between Destiny and Warframe. You may have grown up on Halo 3 and a special substance, but me, I grew up on Destiny. yeah, it wasn't fun. Destiny 2 is an egregiously terrible game with a brilliant foundation and a fundamental downgrade practically every single year. The only good thing about the game was the original campaign, rest in peace, and the Forsaken expansion, rest in peace again, as well as the Witch Queen expansion. But with the release of Lightfall, Bungie was somehow able to destroy me so entirely that I finally snapped out of my Stockholm syndrome.
Snap out of it!
After being brutally scammed by Bungie over and over again with the most asinine content drops, comically low quality expansions, and a quite literal, undeniable, undebatable, straight up scam, aka Lightfall, I no longer suffer from fallacy or even my decade-long Stockholm syndrome. I am no longer a Destiny 2 fan. No longer will I have to explain to my friends what insane number of shitty, wildly overpriced DLCs they have to buy as a new player. No longer do I have to defend Bungie's rampant predatory practices when it comes to making the Battle Pass $15 when claiming it was only $11, as they made it so that it doesn't quite fit in the lower tier of silver bundles. No longer do I have to spend $100 on a goddamn expansion every year because they lock significant portions of basic content behind the top tiers, making the supposedly $50 expansion in reality stupendously more expensive if you want all the content they advertise is available to you. Destiny 2 might be a truly awful game with little to no good content outside of Witch Queen in 2023, but Warframe in 2020.
Dig it down! This place is magnificent.
Of course, the most important aspect of discussing MMO life is their new player experience, and despite both of these games having truly prolific new player experiences, Warframe is vastly superior. The simple reason for this is how that awful bit of confusion you experience upon hitting the game with not 1,000 different ad pop-ups about how much money you have to spend in order to get, let's face it, a few hours of new content and then still paid, of which would make the average person assume they had adware infected their PC. Instead, with Warframe, it's about how you're going to get through all the amazing free content which you're instantly chucked into, whereas Bungie instantly abuses their players with a ludicrous amount of e-begging, digital extremes waiting for your hook already. Neither title fails to emotionally abuse you, however. After all, these are looter shooters. Warframe just goes to psychological tormenting in a substantially superior manner. You aren't forced to open your wallet, but you will. It is certainly not a question of if you will, it is a question of when you will. And if you somehow magically manage to prevent the inevitable, you can beg your ass and fat fuck in his mother's basement is enough of a whale to fund the game's development without you. Whether it be on the newest fantastic cosmetics, a new Warframe or platinum, the speed of your ability, you will eventually spend money. I know, you're probably sitting here thinking, but I haven't spent any money on Warframe. And I know. Digital, of which would make the average person assume they had adware infecting their PC. Instead, with Warframe, it's about how you're going to get through all the amazing free content which you're instantly chucked into, whereas Bungie instantly abuses their players with a ludicrous amount of e-begging, digital extremes waits until you're hooked already. Neither title fails to emotionally abuse you, however. After all, these are looter shooters. Warframe just does the psychological tormenting in a substantially super Bungie instantly abuses their players with a ludicrous amount of e-begging, digital extremes waits until you're hooked already. Neither title fails to emotionally abuse you, however. After all, these are looter shooters. Warframe just does the psychological tormenting in a substantially superior manner. You aren't forced to open your wallet, but you will. It is certainly not a question of if you will, it is a question of when you will. And if you somehow magically manage to prevent the inevitable, you can beg your ass and fat fuck in his mother's basement is enough of a whale to fund the game's development without you. Whether it be on the newest fantastic cosmetics, a new Warframe or platinum, the speed of your build, you will eventually spend money. I know, you're probably sitting here thinking, but I haven't spent any money on Warframe, and I never will, because the game doesn't force me to spend anything. Much like Blizzard, Bungie is far too focused on milking you in the short term. The perfect case in point for Blizzard is Overwatch 2's cancellation of real PvE content. It was a decision funded by higher-ups wanting money now, not over the long term, within their guaranteed skin sales and battle pass sales brought on by a whole new extra community generated by campaign content on top of the existing PvP player base. Bungie's shining example of it is the undeniably falsely advertised scam known as Lightfall, a result of Bungie's refusal to officially delay the next expansion and instead cobble together a joke of a DLC in a mere year in order to dry up their consumers and unfortunately ruin a decade's worth of world building in one battle. The actual Lightfall DLC is the final change. Although in all honesty, that is looking to also end up as a terrible mockery of what was once a promising future after Witchqueen dropped. The trailers alone fill me with a sense of dread due to that constant nostalgia baiting. These non-stop short-sighted business practices are exactly why you hate those games, and they deserve that hate. At every single turn, they are trying to abuse you into spending money instead of giving you a good gameplay experience that makes you want to spend money. What Warframe's business model does is slowly but surely draw the player in with brilliant gameplay and storytelling until they eventually buy some platinum. While a psychologically abusive tactic, as all good games feature, it is a far more healthy approach. Destiny 2 is the most non-free-to-play title in the history of free-to-play titles. If you are a free player in Destiny, you have practically no content to enjoy. You don't even have the base game's campaign to enjoy because they fucking deleted it so that they could force players into instantly spending money. That is why the new player experience in Destiny sucks so much compared to Warframe. The new player experience in Destiny 2 doesn't exist. Well, I take that back. It does exist, and it's called opening your wallet. You never have to spend any money on Warframe. In fact, there is nothing directly pushing you to spend money. If you want to experience the best possible form of monetization in a truly free-to-play title, then go play Warframe. If you want to experience the worst form of self-proclaimed free-to-play titles which aren't actually free-to-play, then play Destiny 2. For Warframe, you have to go out of your way to interact with the in-game purchases, and that is why you will, eventually. Whether it be now or 7 years later during TennoCon 2030, you will spend your hard-earned cash on this game. But how can that be the case? Well, it's the amazing gameplay loop and grinding loop that Digital Extreme have perfected for years. Whereas Destiny 2 constantly promises you the experience of a true power fantasy, Warframe instantly delivers with its hyper-focus on fast-paced, fluid parkour combat. Playing this game makes you feel a high quite like no other. If you're a crack baby, I'd recommend this as an alternative. It's that goddamn addictive. At one point, I sunk in over 100 hours into the game in under 2 weeks since I had nothing better to do. It's also essentially an RPG given the insane amount of customization offered here. Every single aspect of your frames can be altered. From the countless cosmetic changes offered through a countless number of signed data, shoulder plates, leg plates, skins, and now halos, to the gameplay orientated offerings like mods which allow you to alter your ability duration, elemental effects, critical chance, and so on and so forth. All of which can also be applied to your weapons. As with most things, Destiny gives you the promise of true MMO customization, and it never truly delivers, but Warframe does. No matter your playstyle, there will be a frame for you, and a weapon pairing to go along with it that you will adore. And the navigation gives you access to quite literally hundreds of permanent activities across the 14 different planets. You hear that, Bungie? You can in fact simply not delete paid or free content if you fix your goddamn engine with the insane amount of money you gathered from Sony overpaying for your company. Not only do you have the usual permanent missions, you have weeklies, endgame activities like sorties, and the mid-game activities like void fissures that allow you to farm for prime gear. That does happen to be PvP on top of all this, but if you're a PvP refugee from Destiny, you'll have no luck here. It's not even worth me discussing.
Am I a joke to you?
All of this is available forever for you to enjoy without having to spend a single dime. Leveling up your frames plus weapons via all of these missions will cause you to increase your mastery rank. Hidden behind the higher tiers of this are often more tantalizing weapons, so that you constantly have something worth grinding for. After reaching around Uranus, at no point during your time with Warframe will you be clueless as to what you're playing the game to obtain. It's the only thing your poor little soul will know from when you begin your suffering. After all, the endless void of grinding consumes us all. The main criticism you'll see directed towards Warframe is the player-driven economy. While it does often conveniently alleviate a lot of the discomfort some may find from the grinding, it is nowhere near pay-to-win in my eyes. For me to claim this as pay-to-win, I would also have to claim Team Fortress 2 is, and I think we could all agree that obviously is not the case. Sure, you can purchase regular AIR and Platinum with real money, but you can also earn all of it in-game fairly quickly. Simply sell the scrap prime parts you have on your person or sell your precious upper class mods. The main gripe I currently have with the monetization is how bloody expensive everything is rapidly becoming. During TennoCon 2023, DE announced a new type of cosmetic called halos. These items are as described, but come with the extra perk of being adjustable. They're great, but they should not cost fucking 60 great British pounds to buy the set, or 70 great British pounds on console. That is quite literally the price of a whole ass AAA title. At most, cosmetic cosmetics like these should cost $15 at most. I do, however, unfortunately highly doubt these prices are ever going to drop, considering the fact Warframe is getting half of a mobile port next year. I say half because we only know of an iOS version, which I find to be a particularly strange decision when you take into account how much larger the Android market actually is. I mean, even if we disregard the mobile port, this game is practically on everything at this point, from the Nintendo Switch, last gen consoles, PCs, to current gen, and soon to be mobile. I have utterly no idea how Digital Extremes manages to pull this off, given how massive the content additions are every year. Not to mention, I don't really care about the cosmetic prices so long as the actual content remains free. After all, Warframe basically adds an entirely new game to itself at least once a year. The Deveri Paradox, their latest update, until the next, is the perfect example of this. It genuinely gave us an entirely new game inside of Warframe via a roguelike experience that's admittedly not too shabby. It is pretty damn good. Regardless, with such a drastic addition to the already wild number of platforms supported, I see no future where these cosmetic prices aren't continuously soaring to new heights above the already insane £74 on PlayStation, through inflating them with the addition of Platinum and or Regal Air into the bundles. What's even more insane is how this monetization is still infinitely better than Bungie's, and although I'm not overly excited about the next update for Warframe myself, I am far more excited than I am about anything to do with Destiny, thanks to Bungie's unparalleled greed and seeming incompetency. So with all that being said, we have finally come to the end of my insanely depressing and yet simultaneously positive video discussing why, after nearly playing a decade of both games, I've finally given up on Destiny 2.
Before we start, I have a bunch of exposition stuff to get through, so if you're just here for the iceberg, you can click on the timestamp on screen now. I want to start by giving a huge thank you to Reddit users Mr. Expert and Dimdon Official for helping out with this project. Mr. Expert was the creator of the original iceberg, and I was given permission by him to expand on it, and he also gave me explanations to a bunch of his original entries that I didn't understand. And Dimdon Official was a user who left a bunch of really great suggestions in the comments of the original iceberg, and so I contacted him, and he was
Oh no, I am back with a sequel. For those who don't know, a while back I released a video called Top 5 Worst Warframes, and that video did something to these Warframes. Surprisingly enough, 2 out of 5 of those Warframes got amazing reworks, and one of them got touched a little bit without consent, so they're still on this list.
Master the canvas of war.
And another great thing about that video, I think, that DE took some inspiration for one of the reworks, and that's with Grendel. Because in that video, I was discussing a way on how to rework one of his core freaking mechanics, and he actually went through with it. Check this out.
So what's a good way to fix this Warframe? You eat enemies, and you have a counter. Doesn't drain energy, but has a counter. Meaning, with each ability cast, it consumes an enemy in your belly. Pretty simple. So this will incentivize you to eat more enemies, just so you can cast the ability. It's still a bad thing where you have to eat an enemy where you can use the ability, but it's better than the energy drain or having an augment that drains your health.
And the recent Warframe that just been released is Tinsel. If you haven't seen, I did do a video about him quite recently on how he was and how he is now, and some amazing builds you should definitely try out. So in this video, I'm going to discuss how the new Top 5 Worst Warframes that we currently have. And when I'm discussing about these worst Warframes, I want you to think about one thing. Just because you enjoy these Warframes doesn't mean they're good. Fun is subjective. I know you're here to play video games and have fun. That doesn't mean you need to stop having fun. Use the Warframes if you like, but that does not change the fact that they're due to one. And the way I'll be ranking these Warframes is on how useful their kits are, how well their abilities synergize with your loadouts, and how much they can offer you and your teammates, and how well these Warframes can deal with a lot of the Warframe activities and objectives. And if the kit can be completely replaced, why use them at all? A lot of people will look at this like, oh, this guy is elitist. He just does endurance. He doesn't care about the Warframe nuclear. I don't care about the Warframe nuclear. That's absolutely right. Because, listen, people who come into Warframe will see the crazy powerhouse that you can be. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to be stuck with doo-doo water here. I want to big damage. And if you like progression, you're going to start off with doo-doo water. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get a lot of power very quickly. Because the Warframe content that I produce is about some juicy synergies that offer you a lot of damage. Doing things fast, optimal, without any hassle. Because a Warframe can do Steel Path doesn't make them good. Any Warframe can do Steel Path, and then again, as I said, any Warframe can do level cap. I proved that with my other level cap videos. And the game Warframe is supposed to give you options. Like I first loadouts. But if a Warframe can be replaced, or not even needed to be used, then what's the point of using it? Because hopefully, GE does the working pretty soon. Because we know they need Jesus. Okay, so without further ado, let's start off with number 5, and that is Valkyrie. Now, during one of the prime times, Megan did discuss they might be working on a Valkyrie rework. Unfortunately, I do not have the clip because I forgot which prime time that was, but you can just take my word for it. TrustMeBro.com. This because I forgot which they might be working on a Valkyrie rework. Unfortunately, I do not have the clip because I forgot which primetime that was. But you can just take my word for it. TrustMeBro.com. This Warframe contradicts herself. Actually, not the first one on this list, by the way. Her first ability, useless. What is the point of a melee Warframe doing that? It can pull enemies, sure, but it pulls them way past you. So you can't even melee them. And this ability is so useless, they had to put it in an arcade. Why? Why? People like this ability. Armor increase. Speed increase. It means attack speed, but and speed decrease, meaning it slows down your movement. However, this ability can only be cast once, not refreshed. So, if you cast it with a few enemies around, only those enemies are then slowed down. For example, cast it here, only these enemies will be slowed down. You cannot recast it, as you can see right there. But there's an augment that allows this ability to remain active indefinitely, just for its attack speed. Now, the bonus armor is right. Oh, that's pretty good. Valkyrie already has an amazing base armor, one of the highest in the game. This armor is relevant when we get to the fourth ability. Now, she has this ability called paralysis. Activates it, staggers enemies, knocks them away, knocks them down, all that good stuff, right? But it drains the shields and energy at the same time, while the Warframe himself has a low shield pool. Now, we get to the fourth ability, Hysteria. If you don't know, I did 2 amazing builds for Valkyrie that slays acolytes and a version where she never has to turn this ability off, because it does drain energy over time. When this ability is active, you're invulnerable to all incoming damage. So what is the point of the armor bonus from this ability if you don't take damage with this ability? But yes, it allows you to do a lot of damage and all the good stuff. But now, let's take a look at her passive. Her passive is a very mediocre hand. So she gets up faster, and she lands like a cat, without that hard fall landing. Activate the fourth ability. So she gets is a very mediocre handspring. So she gets up faster, and she lands like a cat, without that hard fall landing. Activate the fourth ability. And it's all gone. I mean, there is that one chance when you switch to your gun to do some priming. Sure, that's when you can get knocked down. But what if you just never need to go into your gun mode? Where you can just swing and deal crazy amounts of damage. Yeah, you should go check out the code. It makes your passive pretty useless. And funny enough, the other Warframes do have bad passives. Except one. And I'm planning on making a Warframe video about its horrible passives. Chroma's still on this list, and it hurts me because I used to adore this world. I got his prime access because I was an avid Eidolon. I was out there every night with my Rubico Prime, dink-donking those Eidolons. This was really good fun. But unfortunately, Chroma is here, and let's take a look at why. Starting off with his stupid passive. Chroma is the only Warframe that can triple jump. Huh? That's stupid. That's his passive. He can triple. Again, I will do that video on passive from the series. This was really weird for a lot of people, but some people did find it useful. That third jump allows you to shoot another exotic location, which made it really nice for prophecy, because that's literally useful. Prophecy. Nobody uses them for Eidolons except those people who quit the game years ago and they came back. Let's go hunt Eidolons. Chroma? No. His fourth ability is the only reason why you take him to Prophet Taker. Mainly because you can get bonus credits with this ability. For those who actually go to Prophet Taker with Chroma, replace his third ability for Eclipse, because it is a stronger buff. When you're hunting Prophet Taker, it's in daytime. Eclipse gets all the benefits and is the final damage multiplier for all of your weapons, while Vex Armor gives you armor and base damage. But remember, you have to take damage to your health to get the bonus damage. And of course, with the addition to shield gating, this can be quite annoying. And you're either forced to use combat discipline or even take a decaying dragon key. This ability should instantly give you the damage buff from cast. I'm not sure why you have to take damage to get a damage buff. There's so many ways to get weapon base damage. It kind of makes this ability mostly useful for armor. However, there is a weird feature where it double dips with some thrown projectiles. That's all I'm gonna say. Second ability, unfortunately, cannot be recast, but it does offer some useful buffs, mainly in the cold and heat variant of this ability. Heat gives you bonus health, and then you got the cold, which gives you bonus armor, and also reflects projectiles back to the enemy. The electric one is useless. Toxin used to be good, but now it's pretty much useless. DE reworked some stuff, and now it's just useless. Now, let's take a look at the worst of them all, Spectral Scream.
Why does that even exist?
Clicking this ability allows you to all stuff and useless, which gives you bonus armor. And ability, heat gives you bonus health, and then you got the cold, which gives you bonus armor, and also reflects projectiles back to the enemy. The electric one is useless. Toxin used to be good, but now it's pretty much useless. DE reworked some stuff, and now it's just useless. Now, let's take a look at the worst of them all, Spectral Scream.
Why does that even exist?
Let's take a look at the DE reworked some Spectral Scream.
Why does that even exist?
Clicking this ability allows you to switch between the 4 elements. And when you hold this ability, you now breathe fire. You can't use your guns. You can use your melee. And people cope with this ability saying, oh, but then it's very good at priming enemies. I can use this with my melee and have it be a primer ability. This exists. Kuva Nukor exists. The Deriga exists. The Panzervopelphyla exists. There's so many things that exist that can do a better job than Spectral Scream. Why do you cope so much? Number 3. It's Urelli. That rhymes. Haha, pain. So much pain. Anyway, you guys are surprised. What is Urelli doing? Number 3. She's just not up there anymore? Yes, that's chunking. Even I was shocked. But she's still doo-doo water. Now, this is the frame I was talking about that got touched a little bit. They changed Sea Snares and Riptide to be actually kinda decent. I say kinda decent, they're usable. Starting Marilena. Why does this ability exist? There is one way to make this ability actually useful. 1. Rework K-Drives. Why do they exist? I know someone there in the company wanted to have hoverboards in the game. Oh, let's do this Back to the Future style. But seriously, K-Drives are pretty useless. So now they changed this slightly as well, where you can finally go in and out of your Warframe. Before you couldn't do that. And it gives you some iframes, mounting and dismounting. However, movement with this thing is still horrible and slow, right? Why would I do that while I can do this? Right? Do this. Not to mention, you still can't use helmet abilities while on Marilena. Since we're on Marilena, we can bump into random things and just slow down her movement drastically. But she has a third ability. Aqua Blades deals damage to enemies and bleeds them. But the other sad part about this ability is that it doesn't scale with range. All of her other abilities are used to crowd control enemies, push them away from you, while Aqua Blades needs to be in close contact to the enemies to just deal damage.
Why does that even exist?
Whose idea was this? Whose idea was this?
So if you actually want to use your Rally, you either replace her second or her third ability. Some might say, oh, but her augment is nice. But seriously, you still need to go close to enemies, tickle them to build up the stacks, just so you can throw that ability at enemies at a distance. I don't see how that's beneficial. I forgot to mention this. When you're on Marilena, you cannot melee. Using your melee kicks you off your K drive. You cannot use your primary weapon, just your second. If you swap weapons, you can't do anything except do tricks on K drive. Why?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Number 2. My weapon test dummy. I mean Loki. Now, funny enough, the companion rework was the final nail in the coffin to cement this Warframe as one of the worsts in the game. I'm gonna briefly run down his kit, and I want you to just, keep that in mind, okay? Okay? His first ability is a decoy that draws enemy fire. Unfortunately, it's squishy AF and gets one-shotted by enemies. You can switch places with it. So if you want to go and bypass lasers or reach hard-to-reach spots, you can switch teleport in an instant. The second ability allows you to go invisible. The fourth ability disarms enemies. And unfortunately, this decoy will just get one shot. That's the sad part. You have an augment to make it invulnerable, but you're still vulnerable. But now that you know how his kit works, this Warframe has one ability that does all of Loki's first 3 abilities. Go invisible, put a decoy, switch places with it, and you become invulnerable instead. Without the augments, let's add insults to injury. Using a hound with the repo audits will disarm enemies. While disarming enemies, it can also crowd control enemies. It can also switch teleport and grant itself evasion. It can also prime enemies with radiation, causing you to have disarm with the radial disarm augment. Enemies are disarmed. I can literally just sit here and do nothing. That's pretty much all I have to say about Loki. You know this was coming. You knew this was coming. Number 1, the man, the myth, the legend, Inaros. And this is when people come, oh, you just don't know how to use him right. You don't know how to mod any of these Warframes. That's why you're saying they're bad. No, you're just coping. Now, this Warframe doesn't do anything at all. For those who are gonna say he doesn't do anything special, no, he doesn't do anything. Oh, but he can use desiccation, blind enemies, and you can lifesteal. I can blind enemies and lifesteal without using abilities. And in an AoE. His second ability. You know what? Instead of me explaining this ability, I'll have the past me explain this ability. Take it away.
His ability allows you to suck off an enemy. By the way, you can't do anything else while you're in this state. You can't do anything else. You're invulnerable, but you can't do anything else. You're draining their life force. Slowly but surely, they will die. You can just give it like, a few minutes. Just to kill that one enemy. By sucking them off.
You know what? I'll just let the past me explain the third and the fourth ability at this point.
His third ability turns into a sandstorm. You can still take damage. You do mediocre damage. Enemies are confused. But guess what? You're still gonna get shot. His fourth ability has you stand still, suck off your own health to give you armor. That doesn't scale. Oh, look at that. I'm dead. Also, when I die, I turn into a coffin. That sucks off enemies. If they die, I get my health back. But it doesn't do much to kill enemies. But the good thing is, your allies can kill these enemies who've been infected by the sand, and you can be resurrected without them even touching your coffin. That passive looks kind of similar, right? To a certain Warframe that does it better, you know? Just saying.
What's hilarious is that people come to the stream and think I just hate Inaros. But it's the Inaros fans which give me a headache a lot more, because they're so narrow-minded and don't see the bigger picture. They will cope so hard coming up with several excuses. You can make him tanky with the augment, so he doesn't take any status
That's all
effects.
we have
There's a lot of
time
Warframes
for.
that can do that without any augments. But he has so much health. Health isn't everything. There are 2 other Warframes that are pure health and have better survivability and better abilities. But if you use his 4th ability, you can use some sort of crowd control and deal corrosive damage. This Warframe doesn't offer anything special. Other Warframes that offer you better utility, better survivability, better crowd control. We do have a Warframe that's just mainly shields. Way more useful than Inaros. All I'm saying is, if you rework this, Pablo do your magic. And for the Inaros players, anyway folks, that has been it for me. I do hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description.
Target located. Bring them in. Scans indicate our target is in the vicinity. Find them.
It's that time of year yet. The Warframe tier list. Once again, folks, it's that Warframe
Mission
here with a
complete.
new
The
Warframe
captive
video
has been
coming at you
escorted to the
with
extraction
the
point.
2024
Well done.
Warframe tier list. This is what people keep saying, that their favorite Warframe isn't ranked higher. Unfortunately for me, this list isn't for your favorite Warframe. The list where you get to see different rankings of different Warframes and why they have been in the spotlight for way too long and what makes them be in that area compared to other Warframes. Then there are frames who are just fine where they are. But it's sad to say that there are some frames that desperately need help, and they're not getting it. Let's be honest, some frames are played more than others because their kits are just so comfortable to use, while bringing so much to the table, and you don't need many additions to make them work. My ranking will be different this year, as I'll introduce 4 different criterias that will determine the frame's rank: performance, capability, versatility, and adaptability. Performance determines how well they perform, of course, in various mission types, from lower tier all the way to higher tier missions. Versatility is pretty simple and determines how many different ways you can play that Warframe, from weapon synergies all the way to ability nukes, and the different ways you can build a frame to the point where you need at least more than 1 copy of that Warframe. Vault. Adaptability is where a few frames suffer, but others thrive. With each new update, some frames keep on getting stronger and stronger, as their kit just adapts to the new mission types, game modes, enemy types, mods, weapons, and different types of items that you can use to make their kit even better than it actually is. It's like they didn't need the help, but now they're just better. This is the one thing that will determine the most out of all the Warframes when it comes to the rankings. Reminder, having fun in the game is important. And don't let this ranking stop you. But they are bad frames, and they need help. Just because you like them and use them doesn't make them good. As you can see, here we are in the tier list maker, and I have the different rankings. So let me tell you what each of these rankings mean. S is simple, 2 words, peak performance. A is solid, and with a slight tweak, they can become S tier. B is basic. They're alright. They have a little bit of issues, but they're not bad. C, they have a decent amount of issues, but they're not so bad. They tend to fall off here and there, but still very usable. D, well, they're forgotten. As with each new update, they keep on getting left behind, as better frames, better synergies are introduced. But they still have that one niche that gives them some use, but they definitely need a rework. Trash is where Inaros usually lives, and will remain there until he gets a proper rework and becomes a usable frame. Previously, when I gave the ranks to these Warframes, I only gave the rank based on the kits. However, some of these Warframes will have their rank slightly changed depending on the helmet you use. So for example, if a frame is ranked A tier, but with certain helmets, it can actually boost them into S tier. ongoing displayed ranking I will showcase is the one with the base kits. So without further ado, let's start this off. And we're gonna go in alphabetical order because it's just easier. Starting off with Ash. He is the original Space Ninja. He's one of the best frames for entry endurance runs, as his kit offers the niche for those types of runs. In regular missions, he's just outperformed by almost a lot of frames. He's more of a weapon specialist that thrives with Slash-based weaponry, as his passive boosts the potency of Slash IoTs, but he gets the first B tier ranking. Atlas, the first Warframe that uses a sword weapon. I'm not sure how long that will last until DE decides to tweak things. He is all about his landslide. All of his other abilities can be caught lacking pretty hard. And he's one of the first frames on this list that kind of sucks in team play, and also hates when there's no enemies on the map. Are his abilities good for anything else? Not really. All of his abilities tie in to making his landslide better, though he gets our first C tier Warframe. Moving on to Banshee. Banshee is such a useful Warframe, but she does lack a lot when it comes to massive versatility. She serves two major niches, Silence being a very useful tool to help you farm, focus, and even level up your Warframes and weapons solo, which is so damn good. Silence is also very useful against elite enemy units, as it also disables their special abilities. The second ability is really great to debuff enemies so they take even more damage from all sources. However, it's only on highlighted areas. The damage multiplier can get really high. Unfortunately, if it doesn't mark a head or any weak point, it doesn't seem as potent. Sonic Boom, not the greatest of abilities, but it's decent as a crowd control tool, and with its augment, it allows you to fully strip enemy armor. However, she's mostly known for her silence, and mostly seen as a leveling Warframe. You slap on Gloom on her 4th ability, and she's pretty good against liches and leveling up your weapons. So she is our second C tier Warframe. Moving on to Baruch. He's the monk that's all about his fists. He has that one playstyle. Playing him any other way just makes him feel lackluster. If you play without his Serene Storm, he just feels boring, because his first ability is quite anti-synergistic with the rest of his kit, even though it helps you synergize with his passive. And he's that one frame that really sucks when you're playing in a group. He wants to have all the enemies to himself. However, if you just want a brain-dead melee Warframe that's pretty good in survival, mostly in survival, but not the best in other mission types, he's the frame for you. So he is our second B-tier Warframe. This Warframe has seen not the greatest of launches, to the point where he became a forgotten Warframe. A lot of people call him a bad Warframe. He's not bad, per se, but he is caught lacking. He has good individual abilities, but bad synergy with these abilities. Putting them together does make it useful in a decent amount of missions, but then there are just frames that will just do it better. And he's one of the Warframes that has one of the worst casting animations that leaves him mostly vulnerable all the time. So not a bad Warframe, but not the greatest either. Our third C tier Warframe. Moving on to Chroma. Let me put this real quick. D tier. Why? He serves one niche: farming credits in Profit Taker. Yet your average player will just go to Index because it's less of a hassle. Because once you get to the point where you can farm Profit Taker pretty easily, you don't need that much credits. At the same time, his damaging buffing tool is counterintuitive. You have to take damage to your health to be able to deal damage. Usually, you would have to sacrifice a weapon to do this safely, so that weapon can deal damage to your health. But if you play this normally, well, you have to play against yourself. And if you're in a team, well, you have to go somewhere where your allies aren't helping you. Moving on to Citrine. DE played it really safe in this world, and they did a really good job at that. She can support her team and herself. She has no issues with energy at all. And she's the only Warframe in the game that can boost your weapon's status chance and status duration. And she can give the entire team damage reduction, and has decent crowd controlling abilities. And she can fit in many different mission types. She's not the main star, but she just fits into the thing is, oh, it's so good that we actually have it. So that gives her the first A-tier Warframe. And now, Dagat. Her kit is very synergistic. She can boost her own weapon's damage, but while boosting her own damage, it also makes her immortal. She doesn't have the best crowd control, but she has decent crowd control, while also having a built-in primer and a built-in armor strip. But she does have issues. You're going to hear this quite a lot. There's a lot of frames that have issues with animations that slow them down. I know DE loves to make animations shine, but in most cases, nobody's paying attention. They just want to deal damage and move on with their lives. However, she's not a frame that you would
Mission
see
complete.
much
The
use on.
captive has been escorted to the extraction point.
B tier
well
work.
done.
Ember. She has seen better days. That's all I can say. You like fire, you like burning things, go for it. Equinox. Very useful with her kits. She has different ways to play her, from offensive to offensive bonus. She can buff allies with bonus strength, make them more resilient, heal them, and also boost their shields. And the best part is she can nuke an entire map until she can't. So she desperately needs armor stripping abilities. So she's not one working where she needs a helmet to feel better. C-tier Warframe. Excalibur, your poster boy. He has two forms, regular Excalibur and Excalibur Umbra. Umbra is supposed to be his better form, the free version of his prime, and with some additional quirks. However, his Umbra version is worse than his regular version, and his prime version, of course, because his passive is anti-synergistic with his kit, removing his own buffs, and can get you killed sometimes because the AI is really stupid. So if you're going to use Excalibur, you're better off just sticking with the regular Excalibur. Make it Excalibur Prime, well, good on you. C-tier worker. Frost. He has seen so many painful updates, where other frames just end up being better than he is. But with some recent reworks, Frost has risen to being very useful. He is better off with his third and fourth ability. His fourth ability is AoE freezing, and it armor strips. The third ability can protect an objective and can protect you, while also slowing down enemies and freezing them. And with casting this ability, it can knock back enemies. And that knockback deals true damage. Casting use, however, his first and second do have issues, and do need improvements. C-tier Warframe. Gara, just like Atlas, is still exalted Warframe, but she does have great damage reduction with her second ability, and pairing up her fourth and her second boosts the damage on her second, so it's able to scale infinitely until you fall off the map or get dispelled. You lose all the bulk of damage, and building up all of that damage is so tedious, to the point where you're just like, I don't like this. And with the recent additions of incarnate weapons, there have been different ways to build, but still there are better Warframes that do the job better. C-tier Warframe. Garuda. Very strong. Very have been different. Like, I don't want to do this. And with the recent additions of Dispelled, you lose all the built up damage, and building up all of that damage is so tedious, to the point where you're just like, I don't want to do this. And with the recent additions of incarnate weapons, there have been different ways to build her, but still there are better Warframes that do her job better. C-tier Warframe. Garuda. Very strong, very flexible. She can sustain herself, and she can heal allies if she wants to. She gets her own damage multiplier with her passive. Her first ability is okay, but if you pair it up with her other abilities, she can nuke the map. Even without a helmet ability, she is just very useful in many cases, but sometimes can be a bit finicky to use. It's a great all-rounder frame, and one you'll be happy to have in your team, and even in your arsenal. A-tier Warframe. And here we have Gus. That's exactly what I'm supposed to name. Gus is a very, very versatile Warframe. So versatile to the point where you don't even need a helmet on him. You can replace an ability here and there. In most cases, I found myself just using his pure kits. Very well designed Warframe. All of his abilities feed into one another. He's that Warframe that is for active players, not for people who just like to stand still and point and shoot guns. Always keeps on the move. Slowing down actually hurts his kit, so he always has to be on the move. Some people hate that, but I find that quite exhilarating and engaging, since it fits into the whole Warframe gameplay loop, zooming, dashing, and blowing things up. And of course, he is the first S-tier Warframe, and the only Warframe in the game to buff his own casting speed, improving his animations. No other Warframe does that except him. He gets fire rate, attack speed buff, reload speed buff. He's just so damn useful, making weapons smoother to use. And funny enough, moving on to his buddy, Grendel. Grendel was one of the worst Warframes in the game, but thanks to the rework, made him so damn good to use. But at the same time, that rework hurt him, because one of his abilities, Nourish, became one of the most used helmet abilities in the entire game. as it just does a lot of things, making other frames better just because of this helmet. To the point where they were like, do we even need to use render laser? That's the sad part. He's a good Warframe now, but with the reworks, it's made his helmets better to use on other Warframes than on the original Warframe himself. And he does suffer in low-level missions because you need to consume enemies to use their abilities. And in low-level missions, consuming enemies deals so much damage to them that you can't even use their abilities sometimes. C-tier Warframe. Gyre is the new Ember. For those who remember Ember back in the days, rolled on fire. Press one button, just clear regular star charts. New players hated this apparently, so they had to rework it, because she would just clear the map and not leave any enemies behind. Well, Gyre kind of does the same thing now with her fourth ability. Kill enemies without any effort, which is very good across all Warframes. Low effort gameplay, and that's what's wrong. However, this low effort gameplay cannot be done without augments, because it was the augment that made this possible. She is good, but not versatile, and she desperately needs armor. Another C-tier Warframe, Herald, the Warframe that was designed to be his support. All of his abilities require him to be the main character of the story. He needs to do the killing to support his allies, while the allies are just better at killing than he is. However, he's a really good weapon specialist Warframe, increasing the reload speed, fire rate, and critical chance of his weapons. And he's able to crowd control, replenish his shields, heal allies, and himself, of course. And his augments are just not that great either, because now the augments allow allies to do what you're supposed to do, and are left as the sidekick. To the point you're asking yourself, why am I even playing this Warframe? This Warframe suffers from being a good design, but horrible in gameplay. So if you want to enjoy this Warframe to the fullest, please use that solo guy. Does he work in a lot of missions? To a certain extent. Has he gotten better with each update? Yes. We've seen a lot of upgrades, a lot of boosts to his kits, even helmet abilities from other Warframes made his kit more flexible. B-tier Warframe, Pilgrim, aka Pillage. Her main ability happens to be a helmet ability. The first ability is an exalted weapon. It sucks. You're better off using other weapons to deal even more damage. Her main ability, Pillage, strips enemy shields and armor and gives them back to you, while also cleansing you from status effects. That's pretty good, right? However, you need 400 strength to do a full strength, and 328 with close projection. Her third ability is useless without the second ability. Her first ability is useless without the second ability. Her fourth ability is useless, period. So yeah, she's the Pillage bot. You could do some meme stuff, replacing her second ability with Condemn, but then that kills the synergy of the third ability. So she desperately revolves around Pillage. And the worst part is, Pillage only works on enemies that have shields and armor. So she's horrible against Infested. So you would have to put an ability that also replenishes shields. And her helmet ability synergizes even better on other Warframes than on herself. D-tier Warframe, Hydroid. This is actually shocking because Hydroid was one of the worst Warframes. He had nothing going for him, but suddenly he got reworked. This rework actually boosted him to being a very versatile Warframe. He can be taken to any mission. He has his own armor scope, he has his own primary, he has his own crowd controlling ability, and he is his own Farmin Warframe, and has one of the best abilities in the entire game. Cattle Sword is a grouping tool, invulnerability tool, movement tool, status cleansing tool, and status immunity tool. And it also applies to allies within range. Oh yeah, not to mention it also applies the corrosive status effect. And shocking to see that he is an A-tier Warframe right now. Moving on to Anonymous. Don't need to go any further. Evolve. She's good, she's too slow, suffers in some areas, but she's not that bad either. And if some people say, oh, but she's a good spy frame, no. Even though she is a stealthy Warframe, she is one of the worst spy frames, because there are others who are just 10 times, 100 times better than she is, and don't require augments. Moving on to Cora. She has a lot going for her in her kits, and her augments just improve her damage and the versatility even more. She already deals a lot of damage. You can actually remove her first ability and still be useful in farming situations. She has access to her own companion, and this companion can put on other mods. So you can spread out your companion loadouts, one to buff your shield and one to buff your damage, while the other one primes while the
Stay
other
focused.
one regenerates
There's a
her
heavy unit
shields.
approaching.
And the fact that the Naru is her passive and can be modded, she's the only Warframe that can have permanent vacuum in index, while also having a pretty huge enemy radar. She is a loot frame, a DPS frame, and a speed frame. Yes, people forget her passive that actually increases her movement speed depending on how much strength she has, as long as she has her pet with her. And the best part is she can be a group and a solo Warframe. S-tier Warframe. Kullervo, the recent addition to melee Warframes, and the recent addition to the Warframes that don't have any shields. It's very fast, is able to distribute its damage, mostly known for nuking an entire group of enemies with a single attack. Can easily build up combo without even using his melee, while that combo building ability grants you overguard. However, his fourth ability, even though it's synergized with his kits, it slows him down. So that's usually the ability you slap on for something that can buff and enhance your damage. Funny enough, people think that his best ability is his first ability, but no, his third ability allows him to do a lot of damage, because it has 100% damage spread. Yet his first ability is the only ability you can use for any other Warframe to boost the critical chance on melee settings. But no matter what you do, he is locked into one placement. Link, grapple advance. Link, grapple advance. So if he doesn't have enemies, he just feels much less to play and doesn't have much going for him. Because his third ability is not grown with other players, as he's the only one that needs to do the damage for the distribution to happen. So if you want a very fast and flexible Warframe that deals a decent amount of damage, then he is your Warframe. 8 tier. And now onto Lavos. Winston D-tier. He was designed to be a DPS Warframe to nuke rooms. However, having a strong weapon will out-DPS this Warframe any day. It requires so much strength for that one juicy nuke. Then you'll have to go through the entire process again to do that nuke sound yet again. The only good thing about this Warframe is his passive and his third ability, where it drops universal health items, but then dispensary exists. And now onto Limbo. Yeah, they're just better frames than he is. And then Loki. Poor
so
Loki. This one Warframe was replaced by a dog. Ever since the companion rework, Loki's kit was replaced by a hound. But what's even sadder is that there's another Warframe upcoming in the list that replaces 3 of his abilities with 1 ability. And of course his passive is not that great either. A forgotten Warframe, only known for going invisible and disarming enemies. But then you can also do that with other Warframes. I would put him lower, but he's not as bad as Inaros. Mag. Instant A tier. A starter Warframe that is very flexible to use. Boosts your weapon damage, can armor strip, redirect bullets, and a very elusive Warframe. Not only that, she can support her teammates, regenerating their shields and giving overshields. Not to mention, she has her own crowd control abilities and has amazing damage scaling potential. The only downside is she needs weapons, as she is a top tier weapon specialist. Mesa, another A tier Warframe. Perfect for a lot of casual Andes. Press one button, aimbot, kill everything in sight. She's all about raw damage, not the best when it comes to status application. I would say she is one of the most satisfying Warframes to play. She doesn't deal the biggest amount of damage, but she can dish out a lot of damage in quick succession. Mirage. She has seen better days. Eclipse being her main damaging buffing tool, it's just seen better used on other Warframes, but also is one of the most finicky damage buffs to use in the entire game, because it's always dependent on your light surroundings. And now with the recent changes to the Eclipse UI, it shows you what type of damage buff you're getting, and the intensity of that buff. The one on the right, Solar Eclipse, is the damage buff. Lunar Eclipse is the damage reduction tool. So depending on the light intensity, you either get bonus damage or no damage. So moving towards the light, we get the Solar Eclipse buff. And look how it's so inconsistent around different areas. So if you want a stronger buff, you really have to position yourself. But staying in one spot can get you killed. And this is the one thing that actually hurts her. Because let's be honest, we don't really care about the damage reduction buff. We want the damage buff. Always. If there's a way to toggle between these two buffs, this will jump way higher. Because Eclipse is the strongest weapon damage in the game, but with its inconsistency, just makes it annoying to use. The second ability is okay, but it definitely needs the augment to feel somewhat useful and not that great in steel power. The first ability, very nice. It gives us survivability and bonus damage. The fourth ability, mostly useful in Fisher missions and Exterminate missions. C-tier Warframe. Necros. Another C-tier Warframe. Because Korra just does everything better than Necros. Because Necros has horrible animations. When I talk about animations, Korra just does everything better than Necros. Because Necros has horrible animations. When I talk about animations, his fourth ability is so slow to cast and can leave you vulnerable. And when you summon these corpses, they have dumb AI. They will run off, distract enemies, ruin spawns, enemy paths, and so much more. His third ability is what you would mostly use him for. His second ability, the armor stripping tool, that works better in other weapons than him, so hence the rank. Naturally, Solid Frame, B tier, very tanky, has his own damage vulnerability ability, speeds himself up, cleansing other people of status effects, giving himself damage reduction, and can share that damage reduction with others if you use the augment. Fourth ability, very useful for crowd control. Not a bad Warframe, pretty easy to use, doesn't require much brain power. Perfect for the Warframe community. Nidus. Warframe. I know this is weird to see, but after all these years, Nidus has been slowly seeing a decline. His larva, not the greatest grouping abilities, and you cannot recast it. So if you have a high duration build, you're forced to use the augment just to be able to uncast it. But it deals some toxin explosions, so that's He's all about building up stacks, and when you get to a certain point, it's going to be the most annoying thing that you're going to be doing. Because all you're doing is building up stacks, grouping enemies, stacks, locking yourself in one spot, unless you replace your ability for something else. And of course, I've done this. I've made different loadouts for Nidus, making him a bit more flexible and mobile to use. But his kit just locks him into the same routine. Nova, A-tier Warframe. Fits into any group comp. But of course there are trolls that could mess up some synergies and submission types, because depending on how you mod Nova, you can either be a nuisance or a great help. But at the same time, she offers quite a lot in her kit. Free damage buffing tools, some decent survivability, pretty good movement, and pretty much meta for farming setups, speedrun setups, yes, and even Eidolons at some point. Moving on. Nyx, unfortunately, C-tier Warframe. Speedrunning frame for sister liches, but in other scenarios, she's just not that great, but she does do her thing very well. She is also another endurance Warframe, for those who like doing endurance. Her second ability is one of the best armor stripping and shield stripping tools. Oberon. Yeah, when is the last time you've seen Oberon? Like, properly. Like think about it. Moving on. Octavia. A-tier Warframe. She can do quite a lot, but she's locked into this annoying playstyle. If she didn't have this annoying playstyle and her kit didn't lock her in a spot, then she'll definitely be S tier. She's really good for buffing weapons, buffing your allies' survivability, and utility. A very useful Warframe to have on the team. No one will complain if you have an Octavia, but usually people complain when they play Octavia. It's like, why do I have to do this just to be invisible? You know? And now Protea. This is a simple S-tier Warframe. What can I say? Her first ability grants you and allies shields. And the best part is, when you, yourself as Protea, picks up the shields and your shields break, you get a 3-second of a shield gate. Hildren's passive is a 3.5-second shield gate, and Protea just does it with an ability. Her second ability is able to scale to crazy levels of damage. Dispensary also sustains her when it comes to energy. And of course, the ammo drops is universal ammo. So if you love using arc guns, then yeah, Dispensary does it for you. Her fourth ability can be hit or miss with some players. Some players enjoy it. I myself enjoy it sometimes, but it's not something that I would want to use all the time. And now to Corvex, the recent addition. As soon as he got released, it was the final name nail in the coffin to make Oberon even more relevant than he already is. His third ability gives everybody with an affinity radius status immunity. His first and second ability can be hit or miss. His fourth ability is interesting enough, allows you to deal a decent amount of damage, but scales even better when you pair it up with his first and second ability, or even have an armor strip. Without Helminth, he is definitely a C tier Warframe. With Helminth, he can be better. The cool thing is, he's very tanky. The only Warframe in the game to have the highest armor pool. So if you like that, good on you. If you ever think of the word Giga Chad and you picture it, well, that's Revenant for you. He is the unkillable Warframe. He has his own crowd control. He can one-shot enemies. His fourth ability is Doo Doo Water. I don't know why it exists, but you can do some stuff with it, I guess. I wouldn't recommend it. He's that one Warframe that anybody can pick up and feel like they are the Terminator, but better. Our fourth S-tier Warframe. Rhino. Unfortunately, ever since Revenant got released, it made Rhino, well, yeah. His Helminth ability is good, and you can have it on any other Warframe. The rest of his kit is kind of like, you could do better. So if you like Overguard and you like the synergy with Overguard, Rhino does it. Saren. You know how it is. It's Saren. The only Warframe that hasn't been dethroned from S tier since she got released, and keeps on getting stronger with each update. Just think about that. Gloom. Gloom. Gloom? Gloom. Got it. Gloom? Okay, good. Yeah, level, Helminth, Gloom. All Warframe, Gloom. Move on. Stynax. Well, C-tier Warframe. If he had a Helminth, he'll definitely be higher. His recent augment that gives him and allies Overguard, very good. Unfortunately, he is caught lacking and would be better if he had a Helminth. Titania, the Queen of Fairies. Oberon's wife. Well, she's definitely better than he is. She can be very fast, pretty good for some speedrunning missions, very great in low-level missions as well. And if you want to kill the new armor boss, she's pretty good. She can do a decent amount of work, but she's locked behind a certain playstyle, made even better with Helminth's abilities, as her exalted weapons are not AoE. While her abilities and augments buff her fire rate, she can get to a point where she has too much fire rate, blows her load very quickly, and has to wait for the reload. If she had a bigger magazine or she never needed to reload, that would be pretty decent. Trinity has seen some ups and downs over the years. She is by far the best support Warframe in the entire game. However, you won't see her being used as much. She's definitely a better support than Hera. She doesn't need to do any killing. She just needs to tag a target, and you're good to go. Everybody has energy. She can give healing and damage reduction to anyone with an affinity radius. She has some armor strip when used for augment. Her first ability, not that great. The one thing that she suffers in, and I wish she would be better, is if she had better duration scaling. If she had better duration scaling, she would definitely be A tier. However, the only thing holding her back is how you play her and her duration scaling. And if her third ability had more tethers. Otherwise, a pretty solid frame. B tier. Valkyrie. One thing going for her. Claws. Very strong melee. Why would I use her when I could use someone like Kullervo, Korra, or any other melee buffing Warframe?
The captive has been escorted to the extraction point. Well done.
C tier. He's good, but there are better frames. Volt just keeps on getting better with each update. His first ability may not be that great. Definitely not something that you would be using anywhere unless it gets the augment. Now he frees up each monster for you, as it gives the electric damage bonus. It's cool and all that, but not that useful in many cases. The second ability gives you insane movement speed, attack speed, and reload speed. Third ability gives you a final crit damage multiplier, electric damage bonus, and can protect you from damage. And you can pick it up, and now you have free crit damage on all your guns. And of course, some melee projectiles. The fourth ability, it's an okay stun, not the greatest ability in the game, but with the augment you can replenish your shield and allies' shields. However, it suffers from automation, being too slow. With him being one of the most meta Warframes for boss hunting and boss killing, and for some speed loadouts, that will definitely give him an A tier slot. Moving on to Luna, the other amazing melee Warframe. Funny enough, her and Kullervo are just one of the best mated Warframes right now in the game, but Varuna does offer a bit more flexibility, and her abilities do synergize with other teammates. That's pretty good. And she has 4 unique passives. Of course, her best passive is her second ability passive. It gives her complete status immunity. This complete status immunity is unrivaled. She can fall off the map, she can enter a nullifier bubble, and it's still active. Her third ability passive is amazing with melees and heavy attacks, and since she goes invisible with her first ability, boosts her sprint speed, and if you use the first ability passive, it increases her hardcore velocity. And here we have Wisp. Remember that Warframe I was talking about that replaces Loki's 3 abilities and 1 ability? Wisp makes Oberon irrelevant with 1 ability. She's a very versatile Warframe, and you would love it if you have her on your team. Passive health, regen over time, fire rate, attack speed increase. Yes, she is the only Warframe that can boost the entire team's fire rate. And you can refresh the ability anytime you want without having her to recast it. She just flops in notes and like, oh shoot, I need to refresh something. Thank you very much. I'll see you. I'm gonna go over there, do my thing. Alright, I'll see you back in like what, 60 seconds? Amazing. She can blind Eximus units. Yes, one of the few Warframes that can crowd control Eximus units. And an amazing spy Warframe. Finally, Wukong. He was very, very, very dominant for quite a long time. Still a decent Warframe for a lot of new players, not gonna lie. If any new player was asking for some Warframe that they can get right away, Wukong is definitely up there, alongside Wisp, of course, because he is brain dead to use. B2, and right now I'm only ever using her spy missions for his second ability, because it's so easy to use. Saku, A2, easy to use, does a lot of damage without even trying, can armor strip a large area, and he is the original owner of Saku's Whisper, a very powerful weapon damaging buff. Very potent. Saren, Revenant, yeah, these guys benefit from Zanta as well. Another good thing is that his 4th ability gives him some evasion and pauses the duration of his other abilities. The duration can be a flexible stat on his build. Relic, G2, if only her second and third ability were better, she would definitely be higher than this. She serves that one niche that can be done with other Warframes. Way better, with more flexibility as well. She was trash tier, but she got a little tweak, a little rework that made her 1st and 4th ability a bit more useful and tolerable. However, still not a Warframe that I would suggest using. And finally, Zephyr. A tier Warframe. If you like damage, with a hint of damage, then Zephyr's pretty good. There's a lot of funny shenanigans that she can do with her 4th ability, and has quite a lot of damage scaling potential. And putting on other Warframe's helmet abilities just can make her a bit more versatile and flexible to play in different mission types. So yes, this is the tier list. As you can see, one Warframe still hasn't moved from that spot, and will remain there indefinitely. Of course, until he gets that rework that he desperately needs. And the tier list this year is pretty different from the last one. There's a lot of Warframes that I would love to put higher, just from personal bias, but if you take a look at the criteria that we're using, we just don't do it. If it was a personal choice, I would definitely put Varuna in S tier, Frost in A tier. I have to put the majority of my bias aside. Of course, even Mag I would love to put in S tier. Same with Garuda and all that. If we consider helmets in the builds to increase their potency and make them better, Stynex will definitely be a B tier Warframe because Nourish is so useful. Pillage on Gyre definitely makes her better, makes her more flexible because she can armor strip and sustain herself. And with Nidus replacing his 4th ability, makes him a bit more mobile and flexible to use, definitely boosting up his rank higher to a B tier. Same thing with Equinox. You want a fast AoE nuking Warframe, you just put Terrify. Clear hordes of enemies in an instant. Corvex moves up to B tier with an armor stripping or a grouping ability. In terms of tankiness, durability, and survivability, Necros does move up if you do put helmet abilities, like Gloom. Hildren turns into a decent nuking Warframe if you use Thermosunder or Roar if you want to boost her damage. But otherwise, all the frames deserve to be where they are with the kit that they have going from them. So if any of these Warframes in the lower category are your favorite Warframes, enjoy them. Just because some random
The boy himself, Revenante, is the best tank in the game. What makes him so good and unable to die or even take damage? Well, it's because of his Mesmer skin. It literally negates damage, gives you CC immunity, without an augment by the way, and whenever anybody shoots you, you get to stun them and use your first ability free of cost. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about the additional iframes when you get hit. So let me show you what makes him tanky and powerful. So these guys are shooting at me. Oh, they got stunned. Got an iframe, boom, first ability, free of charge. And then I'm just sitting here, being chilling. I mean, this is one of his best survivability tools. And these guys, since they got the little thing on their heads, they're called, you know, thralls. So when they get enthralled, they affect other people. And if you have a decent amount of power strength, you can just reave right through them and they get one shot. And you create these little geysers here that deal damage. And they're not even targeting me because these guys just take so much more aggro. And when you reave through enemies, you get charges on your Mesmer skin back. How about that? So hey, Nightmare Frame, you just spoke about his 1, 2, and 3 third ability. What about his 4th? We don't talk about his 4th. But you don't talk about his 4th. Period. You see my little posse here? My little harem of heavy gunners? Well, screw these guys. All right, now that you get an idea of how GigaChad a Revenant is, let's talk about the builds. So the first build here, you can see it has Roar. Why Roar there, Mr. Nightmare Frame? Can you run like Eclipse? You can run Eclipse if you're doing a weapon build. Roar is more of a universal damage multiplier. Also works as a faction damage multiplier. This can work with literally anything, and it's very versatile. If you don't know this specific loadout, well, I did a video about it, was it a year ago? Where I took this against a level 9,999 and was just demolishing. And guess what? The build hasn't changed since. So that's good, right? Good news for you guys. So now I also decided to add an Umbral Forma on Revenant because it's the prime and I can. Let's take a look at the first build. In the aura, I got Growing Power. You know what that means, right? Proc a status effect, you get Power Strength. And that affects all your other abilities when that buff is active. Pretty damn good. The Exilus can be whatever you want. You can run Prime Sure-Footed, Preparation. If you're going with a gun loadout, you got your Vigilante Pursuit for that, enemy radar, and bonus crits. You know, all that good stuff. But Preparation, if you're going in and out, you know, simple ass missions, it's the way to go. Power Strength at 298%. Modded Power Strength, that is, because of Blind Rage, Intensify. That wasn't Blind Rage, just Transient Fortitude, right? All the good stuff. And we got Molt Augmented. So this thing is just getting loaded with Power Strength, because making his Mesmer skin better, giving us a better roar. And since we're over 250% Power Strength, we're gonna one-shot with Reeve if the enemies are enthralled. But you can also one-shot them when they're not enthralled by using a little technique I'll show you after. That's the other build. You know, you see that little nuke tab right there. We got our large energy pool because with the Revenant release, we got 25 extra energy, so making it better. Streamline just to reduce the energy costs that we use because this is a negative efficiency build. Natural Talent just increasing our casting speed because that all those casts are friggin' slow, so we gotta use that. Rolling Guard just for that additional safety measure, because you can get into a situation where your Mesmer skin will be shredded, so you gotta reposition yourself, give yourself those 3 seconds of vulnerability to engage and disengage. Very useful. And of course, Arcane Energize for that large energy, economy, income, regen, all that good stuff. Okay, here we are on the second build. Now, this build is our nuke build. It will basically gather in enemies, and you reave right through them, basically one-shotting them. Let's show you how this is done. But don't you need to enthrall them to No, that's a good thing about this thing, because Reeve already deals percentage-based damage, depending on your power strength. And then Viral allows you to deal more damage to the health. So combining those two, we're basically debuffing them with Viral procs and reaving right through them. We're using the Epitaph here modded for Viral, and that allows me to cover more ground with its quick tap fire. And of course, Ensnare allows me to group up enemies a lot easier. So, see that proc? Everybody got the juice. And then reave right through them. Yes, you did see that. And this build is very energy efficient as well. Let's check it out. We replaced the fourth ability because we don't use that garbage. The build, very simple. Growing power yet again. But here, I'm using Power Drift. For this, make more power. It's just 15% more power strength, but that's about it. Range at 175% with Stretch and Augur Reach. Very good. Our energy economy is gonna come from Prime Flow, Equilibrium, and Energize. Why Equilibrium, sir? Well, because we're gonna be using our Panzervopophyla with some, you know, very interesting mods, which I will show you, don't worry. Duration at 128% because of, you know, Transient Fortitude. We need some power strength, but we also need to have some duration in there. That's why. And our two power strength mods are both Transient and Umbral Intensify. We're gonna get even more due to Power Drift, Growing Power, and Molt Augmented. Here you may notice, why don't we have Natural Talent? Well, because we're also going to be using the Maturite Focus School. For example, this is the normal cast. There is a slight delay, but if you Void Dash, you get that power strength.
Your enemies have grown fierce. Use all that you have learned.
Target located. Bring them in. Scans indicate indicate our target is in the vicinity. Find them. Excellent work. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is done here, Tenno.
Accept your death, and you may yet avoid it. Trust in your training.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. You have broken their ranks and they are on the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
Your will was greater. This is good.
Transfer. It's faster. Oh my god, that's amazing. Why? Because of the Mad Right Focus School node, Power Transfer, right? It gives you 50% casting speed. That's literally a natural talent, exactly. Why do I also Void Dash instead of just going in and out of Operator? Well, because we're also using Sling Strength, an additional 40% Power Strength. Okay, now what's with the Panzer and getting energy back? So you see Equilibrium, right? It converts health into energy and energy to health. But we can't pick up health if we're full health. That's where the Panzer comes in. Listen, the Panzer Vogelpfeiler, it's got its viral quills. This basically cooms on enemies, which counts as an assist right there. Enemies injured. They just have to, you know, get touched without consent with the Panzer. And that basically gives us more chances to drop health orbs. And then with Synth Fiber, it allows us to pick up those health orbs regardless. So for example, right, health over there, look, we're just being chilling right here, and we can just infinitely get health orbs and we get energy back. And what is our Epitaph Primer? Well, it's pretty damn simple. We got our Viral right here, see Frostbite and Pestilence, and then we got Heat. Sure Shot and Carnage Stinger are here for the additional status chance increase. Prime Fulmination to give you a bigger radius, the 2 multi-shot mods for, of course, additional procs, and making this very, very versatile. Dexterity works with melees very well. There you go. Okay, now on to the third build. So I saw you're using the Karist Prime and the Argonac. What are those used for? Well, I'm glad you asked, because that is for the third build. The third build is using Zata. Zata's Whisper is a very unique ability which comes from Zaku. So this ability is a separate instance of damage. It applies and coats your weapons with void damage, and this void damage scales for your mods from power strength and faction damage mods. So it's pretty damn powerful. So when I say a separate instance of damage, I mean that it applies an additional hit. Think of it like when you smack someone, right? You smack someone and then someone else's hand coming in there, and it procs a Void Bubble. This works really well with a lot of gun builds, but it also works with a nice, unique mechanic, and that mechanic is gas daggers. Well, if you didn't know, I'll break it down very simply. So the Argonac has a special Amalgam mod. This Amalgam mod is called Amalgam Argonac Metal Auger. Damage from daggers reduce armor by 6. That's pretty much a shattering impact, but better. Why better? Because this works really well with DOT and AoE DOT. So gas electric are amazing for this loadout. And here I have the Karist. Karist is a dagger. So yes, it only works with daggers, not dual daggers. Why Karist in particular? Well, because it comes with innate toxin damage, which basically frees us a single mod slot, allowing for even more funnies. Let's take a look at the Karist build. Here we go. We got Point of Wind in the stance, Condition of Load, you know, more unique status effects on a target will increase your base damage. Base damage. Prime Reach. Use it. Don't be a douche monkey. You're not killing one enemy at a time, you're killing hordes of enemies. This went from 2 meters to 5.2 meters. Allows you to cover a wider range, build combo faster, all the good stuff. Okay, if you're probably doing this in a disruption, yes, you may drop Prime Reach for Gladiator Might or whatever you want, a Riven, who knows. Anyway, Organ Shatter for a crit damage, Spike Rainier for a faction damage multiplier. Berserker. Berserker is very good if you're doing survival. If you're doing disruption, yes, replace it with Prime Fury or Quickening. Quickening is also very good because it allows you to build up combo faster as well with each hit. And the one element mod here, which is the heat one, which allows us to make gas with just one mod. Amazing, right? Weeping Wounds to increase our status chance. We have more consistency over there. And of course, the last mod is an attack speed mod because Karist is dookie doo-doo when it comes to attack speed. So that's why we're stacking this guy up with a bunch of attack speed. We got Berserker, Gladiator Vice, some initial attack speed, but also gives us that more crits. And we have Arcane Strike. All right, let's show you how this kills very, very smoothly. So we're also using Magus Anomaly. Pull him in. That was a couple of hits. Look at all that gas proccing everywhere. See? Armor stripped. And they just die very easily. I'm not attacking them like properly. So if we're in an actual survival, we just hit them and they're dead. Let's take a look at the Revenant build. So in the aura here, we have swift momentum for that beautiful 6 seconds of combo duration. That's all it's used for. Speed drift, some casting speed and sprint speed, just making us a little bit faster. Duration still the same because of transient and continuity, but here it's similar to the first build because we got blind rage and intensify as well. Natural talent streamline, pretty much the same as the first one, we just changed a little bit, and of course we put arcane strike for additional attack speed when we crit, and we are going to be critting 100% of the time. And now here we are in Orvalis. But hey, what happened to the fancy simulacrum? Well, this is also because of the fourth build, which is the Mimish build. This build is also going to be fun for other types of missions, you know, quick, fast missions. But why? Well, because we can do things like this. And then here we go. You saw that, right? I got stuck. But as you can see, we're popping off. We're fast. Give you a 2-second head start. 2 seconds. God damn, bro. This guy wants... Okay. Do it again. Bye! 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 Lol, dude. Even I got stuck. I'm still faster, dude. What the fuck? Get fucked. Anyway, the build is very simple. We have the Argonaut again because we can mod Amalgam Serration for that 25% sprint speed. And the build itself, we have Infested Mobility because this gives us additional sprint speed, which scales off power strength. All right, Sprint Boost in the Aura for that additional sprint speed. Rush for that additional sprint speed. Armored Agility for that additional sprint speed. We don't care about the armor, it's just for the sprint speed. And then some power strength here and duration because it also scales with duration. Power strength will affect Infested Mobility, giving us even more sprint speed. Preparation for that initial energy right at the start of every mission. So you can just start and go boom, 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 boom. You're fast, which pairs well with Prime Flow. And that's pretty much the build. Speed build. You can use this to fool around with your friends, you know, race them. Say, hey, I'm faster. It's like, no, I'm faster. And then you can just flex. All right, folks. That has been it from this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace. And don't forget, if you see any funny thing in the comments, we'll be sure to troll and be toxic, because that's what we do here. All right, anyway, take care. Have a good one. This video, so I've never watched this video. I did watch this one, right? It gets better after 100 hours. I watched it and it was basically the aftermath of this video. When I heard about this, it was through other people. It was from Warframe and MMO. Yes, technically. I heard this from Liam XP. He's another streamer, friend of mine. He watched this video and he didn't like it. So I just took his word for it. I'm like, okay. And then Brozyme apparently reacted to this as well. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, forget about it. I don't need to watch this video. And then years later, I ended up watching this video. Just play 100 hours. It gets better, right? And I agreed with a lot of points he said in this particular video, and it kind of like opened my eyes a bit more. So now I'm finally going to get a chance and watch this video. Worst MMO ever? Question mark, right? It's just a question mark to see if it's actually the worst MMO. So let us see his point of view through a new player experience. You can see a little bit of the Deimos in the background, and you got a picture of Loki cut out. Very simple thumbnail.
you know, to catch your eye for those who didn't see it. I missed it? Yes, I never saw this video. When is the dev stream? Did you miss it? Oh yeah, you have absolutely missed it. So, here we go. Well, what am I going to expect from this video? Who knows? Let us see.
If you Google Josh Stripe.
Hold up. Quality, is that 1080p? It looks so different on this monitor. All right, let's hear what he has to say. Didn't you watch this one? No, I watched this one. As you can see right there, red bar. See red bar? I watched this one. This is the one before this video. Worst MMO ever is the name of the series? Okay. See, I don't really know. This is my second video I'm watching of this content creator. Josh Strive Haze. And Warframe. Wait, this is a discussion in Warframe forums?
Haze Warframe, you'll find a Warframe forum post from May 2021, where the original poster says they've been watching my stuff and really hope Warframe doesn't end up on the worst MMO ever list. Another poster then says, there it is, you jinxed it. If there's one thing YouTubers are good at, it's jumping to conclusions. Now, I resent that. We are also good at stretching 5 minutes worth of content into a 30-minute video, but let's stay focused on Warframe for the time.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I swear you reacted. Yes, it was this one. I literally said it. I reacted to this one. I never saw this one. He made 2 Warframe videos. You can clearly see there's a red bar. Yeah, there you go.
Warframe is an MMO. Or
Okay.
is it? Maybe? Yes. Sort of. Not really. Kind of. It's got some
MMO light.
massive maps and some massive player grouping, and it is multiplayer and it is online and it definitely has RPG elements, but it's not an MMO. Maybe. So it turns out the Warframe user Megalova did indeed jinx it. And
Mr. Lova. Oh no, I'm sorry.
And after the Discord channel screaming at me for months to play Warframe, I downloaded it and I played it, and I'd like to share my experience with you now. But
Okay.
to briefly sum it all up, Warframe is a complete mess of game design and feature creep with some of the best gameplay I've ever played.
That he's not wrong. That's I'll give him that. There's a lot of bad game design choices. Absolutely. I posited a weird thing. It's like his hand is going through through the head. He's absolutely true about that. In terms of gameplay, oh, it's fluid. Like, oh, you can do so many things. But yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Let's see.
I'm Josh Strive Haze, and this is Worst MMO Ever, a series where I play the worst MMOs I can find so you don't have Warframe. Right, first off, I know that this series is called Worst MMO Ever, but that's just a catchy series title. I've played loads of games on this series, and they're not all bad.
Okay.
Warframe is a strange one, though. It's often described as an MMO light, or a multiplayer corridor looter shooter with some very limited open world elements. And the website proudly states they have over 50 million registered users.
Ah, yes.
And I'm sure that's true. But you won't be journeying around bustling cities or exploring perpetual worlds with random people constantly.
That sounds very nice. I would have loved that in Warframe as well.
Most of your time will be spent inside instance levels and events, so it's kind of an MMO, but not in the traditional sense.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like if you ever played Dragon Nest or anything similar to this, where you have a social hub, and then if you want to do missions or anything like that, you go into an instance dungeon. And yes, I will be pausing a lot because I'm trying to, you know, give my insight on this.
Right, let's start at the beginning. Downloaded Warframe from Steam.
Oh my god, this was when Yareli was a thing. Yikes.
Playing, and the moment the launcher pops up, the background music hits, and my very first thought, without even knowing who made this, is, damn, this reminds me of Unreal Tournament. It's got the deep thumping, aggressive techno feel to it, so I looked at the makers and, right, this game is made by Digital Extremes, who did indeed make the first Unreal Tournament, one of my favourite games. Okay, now my expectations are sky high. God, I hope this is good.
Wait, they did Homefront? I remember seeing that title. Darkness 2. I don't know that one.
The opening cinematic plays and... right. I've promised to always be honest in these videos. For better or for worse, I will always give my genuine opinion. I have trashed games that I subjectively love, and I have praised games that I subjectively hate. So please understand what I mean when I say Warframe's intro cinematic is an absolute masterpiece. It is stunningly, jaw-droppingly good.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You said it. Darkness 2 is fun? Oh, okay, I'll have to look at it. So, and people are always talking about, oh, it's spoiler when you talk about operators and all that. Literally, the opening cinematic shows you the operator. You're walking up to some Warframes, you do some fucking hive mind space magic shit, and then suddenly you see the hand moving, right? And then you get to experience that in game. No, she's a drifter. No, that's the operator. I think clearly. Yes. Shut up.
I keep extensive notes when I play these games so I can write the script afterwards. You want to know how much I love this intro? I didn't even write anything down. I was too busy watching it. So basically there's some evil alien dudes invading, and this troubled person prays to these statues of ancient warriors called Tenno. There are 3 of them, and the intro movie makes sure to feature
you need them to open a relic.
Warframes aren't Tenno. Tenno are the operators.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke
I'm second guessing myself.
Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life
Tenno of the operators.
This is a brilliant merging of style and substance. Storytelling. It's not only storytelling, but fighting fun gameplay. We've got a melee-focused ninja dude with a sword and some weapons, jumping over walls and making the Tenchu series was still going.
Tenchu, I remember playing that shit on fucking PlayStation. The wall riding, the fucking hacking, slashing. Sorry, little nostalgia right there. Good stuff.
The enemies are dropping reactants.
I remember playing that game with my cousin. The game doesn't introduce it like that. That's true.
But all of them appear to be damage dealers. No tanks or healers here, just many, many ways to kill things. And now we...
That's what Warframe is about. Many ways to kill things. Hey, what are you doing over there? I'm crowd controlling. Are they dead? No, what the fuck are you doing? You're not playing Warframe. But kill something. That's pretty much Warframe. If you don't kill someone, you bully. Sorry, if your friend doesn't kill anybody, you're pretty much bullying them. So you get this guy, start throwing people. And I'm a pacifist, man. Playing the wrong game, kind of situation, right? Many ways to kill things except an hour. Oh, dude, and also many ways to die. And very few ways to die very quickly. This never happens in game. This never happens in game. That's a lie. That's a lie. That never happens in game. That's a lie.
I delivered a life support capsule to the area.
Lotus, or space
activating it will buy you more time.
Yes.
The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
Motion blur and high sensitivity. I already noticed. That's the first thing you should do. Escape, go to settings. Even if you die, just go escape settings. You're actually not going to die in this situation. They don't do that much damage, right? They're pretty like soft. Excal's a ninja? Yes, he's a ninja. If you watch the trailer, right? He's jumping around all ninja like he's got kunai and a fucking bow and arrow. Level 1, yes.
Combat system
and plus, he doesn't know.
God does it well. With everything suitably slashed, we follow the opening tutorial and journey outside into the range, and holy crap, this game looks gorgeous. Now, Unreal Tournament 1, 2, 2004, and 3 are some of my all-time favorites.
Guys, he's complimenting our game, alright?
Prepare for life support.
Using level layout,
Ninjas use bow? Yes, short bows.
Environments that will enjoy to explore.
If you didn't know, ninjas were a master of weapons. They can pick up any weapon and anything and use it as a weapon. Yes, and they were very good at handling short
Another life
bows.
support capsule is now available.
The lighting reflections are stunning. This is a gorgeous opening scene. Choose between a sword and a stick. Well, if Shadowversity is taught anything, it's that nunchucks suck and sticks are awesome. So let's go with some big sticks.
He went with a stick.
Press E to smack things, and good God, smacking things is satisfying. And that is something looking at moving on. Follow the instructions down the path, double jump over the gap, and count to the tree. And this is a great hidden tutorial. This is not just an obstacle course, it's a journey with a start and a reason. You're fighting off aliens. It's a hidden tutorial done right. Next choice, pistol versus knife. In for a full-on stealth mode, so pistol, obviously.
Oh, I like that. That was a good one. You know, personally, I thought he was gonna pick up the fucking kunais. It's like, yeah, this pistol, obviously. Yeah.
The gunplay itself is stellar. Aim down the sights, reloading all the usual bells and whistles there. Nothing wrong here. The gun's sound effects are good. Next up, one of the techniques you'll be using the most, the bullet jump. Crouch, then instantly jump to launch yourself through the air like an angry salmon jumping up a hill. Bullet jumping makes traveling fun. It's fast, it's responsive, there's no cooldown. It's an excellent movement system. This does.
No cooldown, he says. Remember back in the days when this shit had a cooldown? And it wasn't a normal movement drill. So, for those who know, knows.
Our escape should arrive, but then get shot down by the entrance.
Yeah, bullet jump was a bullet. Yeah, for those who didn't know, stamina bar. Yeah. I never played during those days, but I watched videos and I heard a lot of people talk about it. Yes.
When you are ready, go to extraction.
I started in 2016. It was a bit past all of that
Life support has been
shenanigans, right?
He is the same guy who put a strange bug on our arm earlier. This is a great bit of storytelling. The big bad guy just destroyed our means of escape, thus making us hate him and forcing us to keep fighting. It also sets up a villain, which from a story archetype standpoint is a great driving force.
But this villain dies so quick, you forget he existed. And the only time you're reminded he exists is the Yanaski. I'm like, son of a bitch, he's back. Even though you kill him, I'm still talking about my Yanaski. You wanna see my Yanaski? My Yanaski. It sounds like I'm saying Anuski.
Next choice, bow or machine gun? Bow. Obviously, I played 2 God damn, I was not wrong. Oh, also, if you bullet jump into the air and draw the bow,
bullet jump.
Full on John Woo the way through the diving.
For the Zoomers who don't know John Woo, is an action director. One of his most famous shows is out there. A lot of slow motion gunplay. Chow Yun Fat. Really good movie. I haven't seen it, but check it out. Pretty good.
Explain how goddamn clean you feel
additional
while doing
life
this,
support
and that
has
is probably
arrived.
the biggest thing to later.
Extraction
Sometimes
is
you'll
ready.
find locked doors and hanging in buildings, quick mini-game spacebar or energy levels lining up some puzzle tiles.
He keeps cooking about the industry.
Because you are timed,
life support activated.
Wait, what is that? What is that? Security systems? I never seen this shit. What is this? Is this some new player stuff that I don't know? Awakening part. What number is that? I don't, I'm very stupid when it comes to Roman numerals. What is that? Is that a 7? It's a 7. How the fuck y'all know that's a 7? Y'all are lying. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. All I know is the X and the 1, 2, 3 because they're easy.
Critical
5 plus 2. V is a 5.
Is your best option.
Y'all making this shit up.
Doesn't interrupt the action too badly, and because you are timed, it keeps the pressure up. Plus, if you fail, you don't die, you just have to fight some more enemies, which honestly, with this combat system, doesn't feel like a punishment. We finish off the opening section with a huge mob fight which just hits all the right buttons. It's that beautiful balance of tactical and chaotic, brutal and graceful. It's planning, acting and reacting combined, and the fluid movement system combined with the stellar ranged combat makes this just...
Dude, there's so much complimenting. Get to the good stuff. I'm legit waiting for him to torch Warframe for the things I don't like about Warframe. Well, I'm waiting him for, you know, to do that, you know, smack Warframe, you know? I want to see that. But so far, there's a lot of compliments. This is something that I did replay the new player mission, right? But I don't remember all those little things that popped up.
So goddamn fun. And then we win, and are whisked off to our ship, and now the
Are you waited? Are you waited? Oh, he's about to say problem.
Problems with the game begin. Your ship is your hub of operations. It's where you'll upgrade your mods and your Warframe and select your next mission from. It's a nice little setup, but the first time you arrive, you are instantly greeted with a message pop-up giving you free stuff. Now, these are probably event items, but this is a really jarring change. From a very nice, self-contained story with great pacing to, hey, free stuff! You don't even know what this is, but have it, it's free. Doesn't really work. But let's overlook this small oversight and focus on the gameplay. While on your ship, you have access to a navigation console which shows you all the levels you can travel to. Each level is a repeatable...
Damn, that's how the orbiter looks like, clean?
Self-contained run and gun adventure. Some need you to kill stuff, some are area wave defense, some you need to rescue NPCs. There's lots, but they're all essentially some variation of go and do Space Ninja stuff. Which I'm fine with. Space Ninja stuff is awesome.
It is.
Although I don't think my bow is meant to be doing that. That doesn't...
Hey, Warframe. Gotta love it, right? Gotta love it, Warframe. What the fuck is that? What is that?
Here's what I've written down in my notes.
That's actually... I've never seen that before. Holy shit.
Notes for this bit. Great combat, great
Each enemy is more powerful than
That's all I wrote. Because I was actually enjoying the game so much, I forgot to write things down.
Damn.
Warframe is one of the...
Hey, Zai, what's up, man? You should have seen the bug where I had before. What happened? If you got random quirky bugs, post them on Discord. There's a place called Warframe Media.
I'm
you
sending
can post weird shit there. That's related to Warframe. If you want to post NSFW, there's also a section for that, but I'm just saying. Relax. His first bug, hey, we all got that first bug. My first bug in Warframe, I still remember to this day. I fell through the floor. That's it. I fell. That was my first bug. I was bullet jumping, and I hit some sort of blocker, and I fell through the floor. It was in a Grenier map. Not on Earth, it was like a space one. I don't know where it was, like Mars or some shit. I don't remember what map this was. I was playing Mag, I was bullet jumping, and I fell through the floor. That was my first bug. The most common bug I ever got was me getting on top. No, I was hoping there would be other things after on top. Anyway, on top of the map through the wall somehow. You get that with Nova. You can get it with Nova. I was stuck 30 meters above ground Earth. Makes sense. Makes sense. First bug was being locked into a facing direction, even though bullet jumping and running out the direction. Guys, if you ever watched my video where I showcase many weird bugs happening in Warframe, one of them being locked out of a Archon fight. Literally, I went through the door, but I got pushed back and the door locked on me.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
I was actually molded because everybody else was fighting the Archon. And I'm just like, I think it was like the second Archon. How many Archons was that? My first bug was in Fortuna. I fell under the map. Ah, yes. Usually. I would see players walking around like flying carpet on the T-pose. Was it Armor? I don't even know.
Fun on a moment-to-moment, second-to-second gameplay basis, I forgot to do my job. So as you see, install it and get access to more systems. The marketplace. Okay,
Wait, you installed the marketplace? I didn't even know that. I thought this shit just came to you naturally. Wait, you actually have to do a mission to unlock the market? No way!
Absolutely love this whole opening.
I didn't even fucking know that. Holy shit, guys. Don't get scammed. This was when Gara Prime was released. Holy shit, this was a while ago. I had a bug yesterday in Deimos. Something happened when I swapped from my Archwing on my frame, and then I couldn't use that ability. Oh yeah, that's normal. I've got that as well. You had to yes, I went. This is one of the bugs I also showcased where when I went into my operator, I couldn't shoot nor go back into my Warframe. I was just walking. All I could do was walk. I couldn't void dash, void sling, whatever. I couldn't do anything. I could just walk. First mission, install market. Dude, I didn't even know that.
Only has the opening used a hidden, narrative-driven tutorial to show us the basics and then put us in a position to use them. It's then had us slowly expand the ship and unlock additional systems one at a time. So we get chance to understand the system and explore it and see how it relates to us before.
Yeah, I got that bug as it's annoying as fuck.
Brilliant. The early game missions are explained to us.
Hey,
and each of
he's
them
got a buddy in his new
unlocking
player.
more of the ship. I hope the game keeps doing this. Spoiler alert, it does not. My next mission is apparently a multiplayer one because I'm joined in-game by aim finds. I didn't form a party, the game just kind of put us together. And it was fine, and he did indeed aim fine. We ran forward together, shot some stuff, and then lagged out and disconnected. You know.
He also experienced a host migration. Wow. He got a lot to experience. Good shit. Hey, host migration, love it. DE, come here. When are we gonna get rid of this? I mean, I know there's a lot of things we gotta get rid of. You know, you could start small. Yeah. Host migration, just you know.
All the usual stuff you do with an online stranger. The level design is terrific. The width and depth used to funnel enemies, then allow explosive jumps, the multi-floor builds and the parkour line.
Also, the part when you get host migration as you're leveling up, you lose your affinity, which is so fucking stupid. That's also another part where I'm just like, why is that a thing? You lose so much. You didn't watch this already? I watched this one. Just because it's Jaws Strife Habe doesn't mean it's the same video. I watched this one. I never watched this one. I watched this one, right? And then realized this video was made because of this video. So now I'm actually seeing this video for the first time. My only knowledge of this video was Liam shit-talking about this video. He hated it. So then I took his word for it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. You can clearly see that's the one I watched. There's a bar, but it's okay.
Between them, this is just fantastic use of the 3D gaming space. The color palette is also
Wait, you had to rescue Darvo?
terrific. From the shiny
Wait, you had to rescue Darvo? What the fuck is this? So wait, you rescue him and then he gives you deals. Is that why he gives you deals? YouTube vids while munching on smoked chicken jerky. Yo, I can go for some chicken jerky. That is how you meet him and they try to get him to spend. Yeah, exactly. Dude, these are 2 introductions to spend your money in game. Think about that. So apparently the first mission is for you to unlock the markets. And the second mission is for you to save Darvo, where you can also use your money, the plant that you buy from the market, and then, you know. Damn, DE, I see what you did there. You know. That's not bad. Intro to pay to win. It's like, hey, yeah, you want to spend some money? I once subsumed my one on your one on Equinox. What did you subsume on Equinox? Your one, what one? The one? I don't remember these till I started a new account on PS4. Damn. I don't even remember these. I just know Darvo existed.
Pipes to the dull industrial rusting, the lashings of red piercing laser sights, or the brilliant blinding white of the outside blizzards, and everything in between. The environmental design is a visual
Each enemy
feast.
is more
We finish the mission
powerful
and
than
unlock the next
before.
feature, mods.
Only
This will
with
become an
true
extremely
mastery of the
important
Tenno
node.
arsenal will
Also,
you
get
succeed.
rid of flawed mods. DE. Just
Watch
fucking
out.
get rid of
I'm
flawed
detecting
mods. They're
void
fucking
fissures
useless.
nearby.
You
Do you
can't
have a
trade
matching
them.
relic?
Right? And
They have just shut down all
give us the
systems.
big boy
I'm
mods
sending
already.
life support
Like, what's the point of
capsules your
giving
way.
us cucked mods?
You're near a fissure.
Like, and this is just the basics. We got Serration, Stretch, Hornet Strike, Mod Primary, Secondary, Intensified Continuity, right? Vitality, Redirection. This is basic, and you even have Melee Mod, Pressure Bomb. Like, what the fuck? Just, yeah, they can only go to
Use
rank
that
3. They
reaction
don't
to
go any
open a
higher.
relic.
And it's like, what the hell? Collector's items, there's someone who actually wanted to buy flawed mods, but they couldn't because they're untradeable. I have to say, the beginning of Warframe is so jarringly slow. No, it's still like when I first started, I just wasn't in the right mind space of Warframe. Right? I was still focused more on MMOs like Aeon and Guild Wars.
You were going to need
So
more
it took me a
reactors. Want to
while
open that relic.
to try the game again because I was playing with someone in Guild Wars,
Life
and then they said
support
I
on the
started a
way.
Warframe account. I'm like, okay, I have a Warframe account. So then we started playing together, right? And slowly but surely, I started to grow to like Warframe. You know, I saw like the build diversity. I can take certain mods, do this and that. And the first YouTuber I watched when it came to Warframe builds, of course, was y'all know him. He fucked up big time. Noob Showtech. He did these funny builds that were practical. They worked. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't watch anyone else, right? And then I'm like, you know what?
That's it. You
I started
opened the
fooling
relic.
around with mods, and I'm like,
Finish your
hey, I want to
mission
do
and
some
we'll take a look
videos
inside.
for Warframe. Need to rescue Darvo from Corpus mission, old accounts. Really? My vids got you into Warframe, you kind of hated it, so hey!
Players will tell me this gets extremely complex and somewhat expensive, and I completely believe them. Free games are usually not expensive in the long term. My issue with
Pay to win. Classic pay to win. Ah, yes. You want to progress more? But you know, funny enough, Warframe has one of the most fair free-to-play models. Like, one of the most fair free-to-play models. Right? You can't joke about that. It's, for someone who just started out, you can easily get things rolling without spending money. You gotta wait for cross-save. No way I start a new FPC. Honestly. I see Warframe is a simple game to follow and easier than other games, even if the game is not explainable. And even if there are a lot of bugs, but still a great game. Yeah, it's a great game. It's a marvelous game. Until to this day, when I tell anyone about movement and speed, I say Warframe is at the top when it comes to movements. No other game can compare movements and verticality like you can in Warframe. Like, you think all these Spider-Man games, Prototype, that has nothing when you compare it to fucking Warframe. It's just so smooth. And then we got Void Sling, but we don't talk about Void Sling. That's so important. But yeah, it's still very smooth. And then they want to nerf our attack speed, saying it's a tactical advantage or some shit. That's why they changed the Berserker, which is such a stupid fucking reason, but it is what it is. Animations, yes. We don't want to see them at the animations. We want to go swing, 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 and things done. You know what I'm saying? We have to pay? Yeah, we have to pay, that's it. You have to pay.
left left up to us later. And this is the first example of a tutorial making a mistake. An essential in-depth system is just kind of So we've got this big
Thank you.
our arm causing a scars, and we need to get it off or we keep having visions of this evil dude. So we need to build a foundry on our ship. That means we set off to find some foundry blueprints on a nearby planet. In the early game, it's pretty hard to be killed because of your recharging shield. So you've got quite a bit of leeway to try riskier, cooler-looking maneuvers. It's
true.
fine to be pretty tough at the start of the game for the training section. As long as this difficulty ramps up to test me soon, within the next hour or two, I will be.
Should we tell him? Anyway.
Up to test me soon, within the next hour or two, I will be happy. A leeway to try riskier, cooler-looking maneuvers.
Just
it's
true.
fine to be pretty tough at the start of the game for the training section. As long as this difficulty ramps up to test me soon, within the next hour or two, I will be happy.
The raid is off to a successful start. When you need it, extraction is ready.
Should we tell him? Anyway. I'm kidding. For some people, yes, it is difficult. I've had people complaining that they can't kill level 60s because the one thing is that they didn't focus on is modding their weapons. Yes, there are people who say they tried to build because they don't have the same mods, so it's normal. It's fine. But yeah. You just need to invest more time to be strong. Yeah, that's the point. Like, in any game, that's the case. You want to invest more time, but the problem is, do you enjoy the beginning, right? For you to actually invest more time so you can get to that point where you're feeling the time investment. You know what I'm saying? It's the journey. If you're not enjoying the journey, right? The destination ain't gonna feel good. Or you don't even, halfway through, you don't even want to reach that destination. You get what I'm saying?
Spoilers! It does! Oh god, it does ramp up. It ramps up so hard. Get the blueprint.
Oh yes, it does ramp up.
We need to build this Scarless remover and that's resources, so back to the planet.
Wait, do I still have it? Yo, what the hell? Oh damn. The more you know. You actually can't sell it? Oh shit.
And can I just point out how smooth the mission intro cinematic transitions into actual gameplay, and how the cinematics seem to be rendered in the game's engine. You made the gameplay for Warframe, you are an actual wizard. So we need resources to build things to get rid of other things. Actually, resources can be collected by hitting things or shooting things, which is convenient, because hitting things and shooting things are the two things we're really good. Yes. At this point, I'm wondering about the greater narrative.
They're still level 1 though.
What happens. The game sounds and looks incredible, and it plays exactly how a game described as space.
Oh yeah, this was before the ammo changes. You can totally see the old school ammo drops.
Should play. It's making my brain do all the happy chemicals. And then another part of my brain says, hey, what's the plot again? And the excited part shouts, shut up nerds, space ninjas. The plot in War.
Same. I don't even fucking know what. I don't even know what the story is at this point. I'm so confused.
Critical
Who's who,
levels.
and I don't even know how the fuck we got to the paradox. I still don't understand why the drifter is a thing.
Life support
I played the New War twice, and I still don't even know how we even got to that point. Some fucking chick lost her arm. It appeared in some other universe. We switched to that other person, and suddenly we're like years into the future. I don't fucking know.
This is good.
I just press buttons, things die. Eternalism, man. Yeah, totally, bro. By the way, is it only me who feels like the reworked boss of Venus was not necessary? Yes, that's you. It's only you. I feel it's good that they're reworking older bosses for newer players and giving it a fresh, new experience. I wish they did that for even more bosses. Take a look at what's his face? It's the guy, Sergeant. Where's the Sergeant from? Yeah. The Sergeant. My man is literally a mob. He's not a boss. He's a mob. You go in there, you shoot into a crowd of enemies, mission complete. Like, what the fuck? Wait, where? Who? He's just dead. He's not even a threat. There are times that I don't even know I killed him because he just explodes. The Sergeant needs God, not only a rework. Yo, that guy needs Jesus, everything. Yes, the Sergeant still exists. It's a normal corpus with a bigger life bar. Still, that life bar, that health bar, that thing just goes non-existent. Yeah, the Sergeant used to be Nef'Amnio. It used to be called Sergeant Nef'Amnio, and then people really liked the name, and then D was like, let's make a character out of him. That's an interesting name. And now the current Sergeant is just Sergeant. So yeah. You need a ribbon for your Brahma. Don't bother with ribbons on Brahma because bad ribbon disposition. Trust me, I'm saving you. Don't legit save your Kuva, sell it, or get rid of it. Is an NPC who caught the main character fever. Yes, pretty much. If you're deciding what to choose, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. 600 pulls on Naturok Ribbon? That's cute. That's cute.
Warframe serves the same purpose as the plot in Unreal Tournament.